The blue wolf has no idea it's already dead. It's 50 meters downhill from me, nosing at a patch of frost grass, ears twitching, living its best life. I'm flat on my belly in the cold dirt with an arrow knocked in a stomach that's been empty since yesterday. 50 meters is a long shot for a man the martial world officially files under garbage, so I don't rush it. I breathe out slow, the way the memory in my head says to, and I let the string go. The arrow takes it through the eye before the sound of the string even gets there, and that's when the thing in my head wakes up. I should explain the thing in my head. About a year ago, the worst and best night of my life, in that order, a meteor came down on the hill behind our tower and landed more or less on me. I should have died. Instead, I woke up with a tree growing inside my skull, not a metaphor, an actual little bronze tree, sitting there behind my eyes where my crippling lack of talent used to live, and when I kill something strong enough, it grows. Right now, one small fruit on the lowest branch goes ripe. It cracks open, and a line of light unrolls across my vision like the universe is finally answering an email I sent 18 years ago. Heaven rewards diligence. Every hour I grind a skill, it gets better, permanently, no backsliding, no ceiling. And this is the part that made me laugh like a lunatic on a dark hill. It does not care about talent, at all. You have to understand what that means where I'm from. Talent is the whole game. You're born with a number, and that number is your entire life. Mine was so low the instructor at the free academy once suggested, very kindly, that I look into accounting. I quit martial arts at 15 so my mother would stop spending grocery money on lessons that did exactly nothing. So I do the pettiest, most beautiful thing I can think of. I walk down, pull my arrow out of the wolf, take 10 steps, and shoot a weed. A weed, point blank. And the light in my head says, basic archery, 87 to 88. I shoot it again, 89. I sit down in the dirt between a dead wolf and a martyred weed, and I grin until my face hurts, because for the first time in my life, effort counts for something. By dusk, I've stopped shooting weeds and started shooting things that shoot back. There's a black bear at the tree line, the size of a delivery van and about twice as annoyed. It sees me the same second I see it. It rears up, it roars, and the sound rolls the leaves back off the branches. Old me runs. Old me is a snack. New me stands his ground, because I want to know what I am now. First arrow, 40 meters. It thumps into the bear's shoulder, and the bear doesn't even slow down, just drops to all fours and comes, and the ground shakes under a thing that big moving that fast. Second arrow, 20 meters, into the chest, still coming. 10 meters, I can smell it. And somewhere in the back of my skull that dead archer's memory whispers where, and I loose one more and put it clean through the bear's eye, and the whole van of it slides to a stop close enough that I have to step back so it doesn't land on my boots. It goes down like the mountain sat on it. My heart's going like a drum. I'm grinning again. And my archery ticks over from 999 to perfection. I was not ready for what perfection does. It's not a number, it's a door. The instant it lands, a whole life that isn't mine pours into my head. Some long dead master archer, every shot he ever loosed, every wind he ever read, the exact weight of a bowstring on a fingertip across 40 years. My hands suddenly know things my brain is still catching up on. And my body drinks it in too. Strength I didn't earn, a good 800 jin of it, settling into me like it was always supposed to be there. I stand over a dead bear having a quiet little existential moment. Then I get practical, because existential moments don't pay rent. I take the pause and the gallbladder. That's it. Not because I'm not hungry. I'm always hungry now, and trust me, it turns into an actual financial emergency later. But because if I drag a whole bear back into the city, the fierce tiger gang takes one look and taxes me down to the bones. Out here, a crystal core from a true beast sells for 10,000 and up, and the strong go deep past the mountains to hunt them. Men like me stay on the edge, take what we can carry, and hide the rest. Then I run home. And running, for the record, is now genuinely fantastic. 800 jin of new muscle turns a 2-hour walk into a 20-minute sprint that leaves the wind somewhere behind me. I'm laughing the whole way. I should have stayed out there laughing, honestly, because home is where the good mood goes to die. Bengal City. 5 million people and exactly one wall, and that wall decides everything. Inside it, gardens, clean air, families whose biggest crisis is which academy to buy their little genius into. Outside it, where I live, 4 million of us stacked in towers that were already falling down when my grandfather was young. Heaven and hell, one brick apart. Home is the 21st floor of a 32-story building whose elevator gave up sometime last decade. I take the stairs 3 at a time, new legs, and on the 9th floor, a neighbor sticks her head out and says the sentence that turns my blood to ice water. Ah Ming, that Joe Wei from the fierce tiger gang. He's up at your place, brought friends. I stop laughing. I take the rest of the stairs a lot faster than 3 at a time. Our door is open. That's the first wrong thing. Joey is sitting in my mother's chair with his boots on my mother's table. I've known this man since we were kids, throwing rocks into the same river. Back then, he was a coward with a loud mouth. Now he's a coward with a loud mouth, a gang tattoo, and 2 goons, which out here counts as a career. My mother is pressed against the wall with her hands twisted up in her apron. And my little sister, Xiaoli, she's 8. She still sleeps with a stuffed rabbit that's missing an ear. My little sister is half hidden behind our mother's leg, and Zhou Wei is looking at her the way a man looks at money. Your dad, he says, not bothering to get up. Borrowed 120,000 before he disappeared on you. With interest, that's a real problem. Boss says a debt's a debt. He tips his chin at Xiaoli. But he's a reasonable man. The girl's got value. Send her to work it off at the hall, and we call the books clean. Value. He says value about my 8-year-old sister, and he smiles like he's doing us a favor. Here's something I learned tonight. 800 jin of strength does something to your temper. Old me would have talked, begged probably. New me already has the bow off his shoulder and an arrow drawn to the cheek before he's decided to. The arrowhead, still wet and red from the bear, parked in the air directly between Zhou Wei's eyebrows. Boots off my mother's table, I say. You've got until I stop being polite. The goons reach for their blades, then they look at the arrowhead, then they look at how it isn't shaking, not even a little. They do not draw. Zhou Wei's smile curdles, but he stands up slow, hands open. He's a coward, and cowards read a room fast. The loan's real, Wenji. It's on paper at the Great Xia Bank. In 10 days it comes due, and when you can't pay, and you can't, we don't need blades. We take the house, the woman, and the girl, all of it, legal, with a magistrate's stamp on top. He backs toward the door. Enjoy your 10 days. The door clicks shut. My mother starts to cry. Xiaoli runs into my legs and holds on like I might float away, and underneath all the fury, one cold, clear thought stands up in me and dusts itself off. 10 days. In 10 days, I stop being a joke and become a real martial artist, someone the world isn't allowed to step on, or I lose the only 2 people I have. The tree behind my eyes pulses once, like it's in on the plan. I put Xiaoli to bed with the 1-eared rabbit and a lie about how everything's fine. I tell my mother the same lie with a straighter face. Then I sit on my bedroom floor with the bear's gallbladder and I get to work. Cultivation, the short version, because I hated the lectures too. Your body is a fortress you build from the skin inward. First you temper the flesh, 9 grades of it, then you forge inner strength inside that tempered flesh, and only then are you a martial artist. I've been stuck at nothing my whole life. The gallbladder is a cheap tonic, but it's fuel, and I have a tree that turns fuel into progress that doesn't slide back. I run the one beat-up technique I own, the 5-element stake, and I feel my foundation click up a rung, 12 to 13, in a single night, work that's supposed to take a month, 10 days. Maybe it's enough. It's going to have to be. Across town, in the back room of a bar that smells like spilled liquor and worse decisions, Zhou Wei is telling this same story to his boss, the East Hall Master, carefully leaving out the part where he backed down from a kid with a bow. And the Hall Master, who is smarter than Zhou Wei and a great deal meaner, tells him to keep his hands to himself. Don't touch them, he says, swirling his drink. We don't have to. The debt is legal. In 10 days the boy fails. We take everything with the law standing right behind us, and not one person can say a word about it. He smiles into his cup. Let him squirm. Squirming's free. He has no idea the boy he's leaving to squirm killed a bear tonight with a single arrow. Nobody does. That, more or less, is the whole point. The next 5 days, I turn my life into a machine with exactly one output. I hunt the edge of the wild, I grind at home, and I eat. God, do I eat. Here's the thing, nobody warns you about tempering your body. It runs on food, the way a furnace runs on coal. I go from a normal 30 pounds of meat a week to 100 pounds a day, and I am not exaggerating for effect. The butcher 2 streets over starts greeting me by name, then by the 3rd day starts greeting me with fear, and by the 5th, the price of pork on our whole block has quietly doubled, and everybody blames the economy. It's me. I'm the economy. My mother watches me put away an entire day's cooking in one sitting, sets down her chopsticks, and asks, carefully, the way you'd ask a man you suspect of a crime, whether I'm feeling all right. I tell her I've never felt better in my life, which is the truest thing I've said in years, and also unhelpable, because I can't exactly explain that a tree in my skull has turned my appetite into a career path. So she frowns and buys more rice and quietly worries, which is the one thing about her that being poor never managed to change and being rich never will. But it works, and that's the only part that matters. 5 days grinding the 5-element steak with a tree in my head that never lets a single hour of effort leak back out, and on the 5th night the technique hits perfection, and then keeps climbing, which I'm reliably informed is not supposed to happen, which I file under worry about later, and something inside me catches fire. Inner strength, real inner strength, coiling through tempered flesh for the first time in my life. 9th grade skin refining, a rank 1 martial artist. I throw one slow, testing punch at the empty air of my room, and the air cracks like a whip, 1,000 jin of force clapping off nothing at all. Xiao Li bangs on the wall and tells me to keep it down. I have never in my life been happier to be told to keep it down. The debt's 140,000 now with the interest stacked on, and I could grind an outer city wage for a decade and never touch that number. But I don't need a wage. I've got a bow, a body that breaks air, and a whole wilderness full of beasts whose cores sell for 10,000 each. The math is ugly, but it's still just math. About a dozen good kills, and my family walks free. That's the plan for the money. The plan for Zhou Wei is shorter. Zhou Wei looked at my sister and said value. So Zhou Wei goes home tonight, and Zhou Wei does not wake up tomorrow. It rains that night, which is perfect, because rain hides a lot of things, and I'm about to add one more to the pile. I'm flat on a rooftop 300 meters from the fierce tiger bar, water running down the back of my collar, bow strung. 300 meters, in the rain, in the dark. A week ago, I couldn't have hit the building. Tonight I've got a dead master's entire life sitting in my 2 hands and an arrow that reads the wind better than the wind does. Zhou Wei comes out around midnight, loud and drunk and untouchable, one arm slung over a goon, bragging about something. I catch a piece of it on the wet air, something about how he's got his own thing about to ripen, how there's backing coming, how soon nobody in the outer city will dare touch him. Isn't that interesting? A small-time thug talking like a man who knows a secret? I file that under worry about later too. The list is getting long. Then he tips his face up to complain about the rain, and I give the rain something better to do. 1 arrow, 300 meters. He's talking, and then he isn't, and then he's a shape on the wet ground that his goons are screaming over. I'm off the roof and gone before the first of them thinks to look up. I feel a lot of things on the walk home through the rain. Guilt is not one of them. He said value about an 8-year-old. The rain can keep him. The problem with killing a nobody is when the somebody shows up to ask why. By morning, the whole block knows Zhou Wei caught an arrow in the rain, and by noon, I learn the part that makes the hair on my neck stand up. The fierce tiger gang's East Branch head, a man named Lin Hao, is personally walking the streets asking questions. Personally, Lin Hao is a real martial artist, an actual boss, and Zhou Wei was a minor leader you could replace with a rock, or with a slightly louder rock. Bosses do not walk the rain-soaked slums avenging middle management, unless Zhou Wei wasn't middle management, unless a thing about to ripen and backing coming meant Zhou Wei mattered to Lin Hao for some reason nobody's saying out loud. I don't have answers. What I have is a debt due in 9 days and a family that a powerful, suspicious man might start looking at sideways. So I do the one thing that pays down both problems at once. I go where the money is. I go to Python Mountain. Python Mountain isn't a mountain. It's a range so long the maps just give up and print unknown across the far side. They say there's another world past it. They say 99 of every 100 martial artists in Fengal City can't cross it and come home. But the near edge, the shallows, where men like me hunt, is a paradise of things that can kill you and are worth a fortune when they fail to. Vicious beasts, real ones. Every core in my pouch is another brick knocked off my family's debt. The first real one finds me an hour in. A rock wolf, tier 1, hide like gray stone, a paw that comes down where my head just was and punches a crater a meter wide into solid ground. I feel the wind of it on my cheek. Old me is a red smear. New me is already rolling, already up, already loosing. 3 arrows into the same spot on its skull, because one won't do it, and the third one does. The core I cut from it glows faint in my palm. 10,000 give or take, 1 brick, and behind my eyes the tree does something new. A second bud swells on a fresh branch. Another entry, brewing. Turns out killing true beasts feeds it a great deal faster than killing weeds. Who could have guessed? And I get a little lightheaded, imagining what a dozen of these might grow. I push deeper, lighter on my feet now, running a footwork form from the 5 elements with every stride, because if effort never goes to waste, then even running is training. The second one is a red fox, and the word fox does not prepare you. It's fast, a streak of red that's already behind you by the time you look where it was, and its pelt and its eyes together are worth 200,000, which is the whole debt in a single animal, so I want it badly. I miss my first shot, and my second. The fox isn't dodging so much as it's simply never where the arrow arrives, and I chase it through the trees for the better part of an hour, loosing and cursing and loosing again, and the whole time the tree in my head is quietly cashing every wasted arrow into archery I didn't have this morning. That's the secret nobody I'm shooting at ever figures out in time. Even missing makes me better. By the end of the hour, I'm not the man who started the chase. So I stop chasing, and I think, and I learn the trick to a thing too fast to hit. You don't aim where it is. You aim where it has to go. I plant 3 arrows in a triangle around the only spaces it can dodge into, and it dodges, very politely, into the middle one. 200,000 twitching in the leaves. I'm rich. I'm going to buy my mother a house with a window that actually opens. I'm still grinning about the window when the ink cloud blood leopard hits me. I never see it coming. Tier 1 peak, the ceiling of everything I currently am, a 9th rank peak beast, and it comes out of the dark like the dark grew teeth. The first blow throws me into a tree hard enough that the tree loses. I taste copper. The second one I barely get an arm up for, and it still folds me over a rock. My arrows do nothing. My shiny new strength does nothing. It's faster than me, stronger than me, and worst of all, it's in no hurry. And there's a small stupid moment where I'm on my back in the mud with blood in my mouth thinking, this is it. This is where the tree runs out of tricks. My mother's going to wait up tonight. Xiaoli is going to ask where I went. I don't decide what happens next. It just happens. Something behind my eyes, the tree, the fury, whatever's left in a man when his body's out of answers, pulls tight and lets go, and a wave rolls out of my skull that I can't see, and the leopard very much can. It's mid-lunge. Then it's down, dropped where it stood like something cut its strings, and it does not get back up. I lie there breathing wet for a while. When I finally sit up, two things have changed. The tree's grown a full second branch now, thick and heavy, and there's a new line of light in the corner of my eye that wasn't there this morning. Spirit, high-level mortal, mental energy. I hadn't just gotten stronger out here, I'd woken something up. I cut the leopard's core and gallbladder free with hands that won't quite stop trembling, and I make a note, right there in the mud, of a thing I'm going to spend a long time proving true. Whatever this tree is, it grows best when I'm one breath from dead. Cool. Very cool. Love that for me. I get back into the city at night, which is when men like me do business, and I take my haul to Wanchuntang. Wanchuntang is a Wanbao group shop, which means it's clean, it's well lit, and the man behind the counter can buy a beast core without fainting. That man is Feng Li. Picture a friendly, chubby, shrewd-eyed guy who looks like he sells insurance and haggles like he personally invented money. I like him immediately, which should have been my first warning because I don't like anybody immediately. He weighs my cores, he weighs the fox pelt. He goes very quiet at the leopard, and then he names a number, 1.5 million. I keep my face flat. Inside, I'm doing cartwheels. The fox and the leopard alone are 900,000 of that. I could pay the debt 6 times over. You've got the look, Feng Li says, sliding a cup of tea across the counter like we're old friends, which we are not, yet. New martial artist, first real haul, about to make every single mistake in the book. Sit down. Let me overcharge you for advice before somebody worse undercharges you for a con. So I sit, and this is where I get the lecture I'd have paid money for, served up like the day's gossip. The realms first. You start at 9th rank, skin refining. That's me, fresh off the boat. Above that, 8th rank, bone tempering. Above that, 7th, organ forging. Those 3 together make you a martial artist, and past them is a wall most people spend their whole lives dying against. Your skin refines in grades too. Cowhide, then stone, then copper. Each grade a little joke about how hard you've become to kill. Then the part that actually matters, techniques. A low-grade body refining method runs 3 to 500,000. A mid-grade, 2 million and up. And a high-grade? You don't buy those, Feng Li says, not unkindly. The great families and the state powers hold them, and they do not let go. That's the whole game, kid. It was never fair, and it was never going to be. Survival of the fittest, and the fit wrote the rules first. He sips his tea. Depressing, isn't it? Have a biscuit. I take the biscuit, and I take the advice, and then I spend. A low-grade savage elephant skin refining method, 500,000, a real technique at last, instead of my beat-up 5-element steak. 30 chi blood potions, 270,000, because a furnace needs coal, and I am, at this point, a furnace with legs. A proper tier 1 bow, a blade, and a combat suit, another 540. It hurts to watch the number fall. It hurts a lot less when I remember what the number is for. I walk out with 190,000 and exactly 1 errand left. The Great Xia Bank, right at closing. 120,000 principal, 20,000 interest, slid across a marble counter by a kid the teller has definitely seen begging outside before. The debt that's had its hand around my family's throat since my father walked out and forgot to come back, gone in the time it takes to stamp a page, paid, clean. I stand on the bank steps a second, just breathing. Then I let myself do the thing I never let myself do, which is want. A house inside the wall with that window that opens. My mother not flinching every time somebody knocks. Shaoli in a real school, a good one. The kind that sends its kids to the great universities. The kind of future you're not supposed to be able to buy from the 21st floor of a dying tower. I want it so badly my teeth ache. 9 days ago, I couldn't have protected a single piece of it. Tonight, I cleared a debt with pocket change and killed a peak beast with my own mind. I really should have heard the universe cocking its arm, because across the city, in a room I'll see the inside of soon enough, Lin Hao is getting the news, and Lin Hao is not happy about it. The Lu boy paid the debt, someone reports, in full, cash. And the word on the street is he's a martial artist now, Lin Hao. East Branch head, real power, patience like a long-held breath, sets down whatever's in his hand, very carefully. The debt was the leash. The debt was how you take a family the legal way, quiet, with a magistrate's stamp, the way the hallmaster likes things done. No debt, no leash. And Lin Hao needs that family. Not the mother, not the boy, the girl. The day draws close, he says, to no one, in the voice of a man who has a use for an 8-year-old child that he will not name aloud, and that I won't repeat here either, because when I finally learn what it is, it turns my stomach. She's special. That's all even his own men know. Special enough to matter to things a great deal larger than a street gang. He turns to the worst man he owns, Guo Fan, bald, a scar splitting his face, an enforcer the whole outer city talks about in low voices, and gives an order with no heat in it at all, which is somehow the worst way he could have given it. The boy's a problem now. Take him outside the city, quietly, somewhere no one bothers to count the dead, then bring me the mother and the girl. Willingly, if you can manage it. It's cleaner willingly. Guo Fan smiles. I'll wipe that smile off his face myself later. I just don't know it yet. I don't know any of it yet. What I know is that I've got a new technique and 2 free days before I go back to the mountain, so I do what I always do. I grind until the neighbors complain. 2 days on the Savage Elephant method, run back to back with the old 5 elements stake, and the 5 elements does the impossible thing again. It doesn't just hit its ceiling, it kicks straight through it. The light in my head calls the result fierce tiger intent, and it is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds. My power doubles, not adds, doubles. My cultivation climbs to 9th rank middle, and a straight punch that used to carry 5,000 jin now carries 10,000 with the intent riding on top of it, which the books swear is the absolute ceiling for a beginner, and which I have therefore already broken on an ordinary Tuesday. That's the moment I finally see the real shape of the thing I've been handed. It isn't only that effort never goes to waste, it's that when a skill tops out, it doesn't stop. It mutates into something that multiplies everything else I've got. Talent set the ceiling for everybody else in the world. My tree looked at the ceiling and decided it was a polite suggestion. I start on the Savage Elephant method that same night, grinning a grin I'm glad nobody's around to see. A month goes by, and I spend every day of it becoming a problem. The Savage Elephant method reaches major achievement in 30 days, a level that's supposed to take 3 years, which I bring up only because it never once stops being funny to me. 9th rank. Late now. I run out of chi blood potions getting there, which is its own strange milestone. I have out-eaten the fuel budget of a man 6 times richer than I was a month ago. A martial artist is forged in battle, the old saying goes. It leaves out the part where he's also forged in an absolutely ruinous meat bill. Back to the mountain then. What I don't see, because I'm busy becoming a problem, is the man watching my front door. Guo Fan has set up in a neighbor's window across the way. The neighbor isn't home. I decide not to ask what happened to the neighbor, with 2 goons and a great deal of patience. He's waiting for me to leave the city. That's the entire plan. Catch me outside the wall, where nobody counts the dead, kill me quietly, and collect my mother and my sister afterward. He watches my window with the flat, easy patience of a man who has done this before and enjoyed it every time. He's going to get his chance in about a day. It's going to go extremely poorly for him. I leave at dawn. At the city gate, there's a crowd gawking at a group I clock instantly as trouble I want nothing to do with. A martial team out of the inner city, number 1 Martial High School. The kind of place that costs more for 1 year than my whole tower is worth. An elder leading them, a man and a woman ranked under him, and behind them 20 or 30 teenagers glowing with the easy confidence of kids born with high numbers who have never once doubted the world was built for them. Out for field experience. Slumming is the shorter word. The crowd gawks like they're celebrities. I put my head down, walk past, and go out the gate thinking, good, I will never see those people again. I would like it on the record that I am frequently, spectacularly wrong about that kind of thing. Python Mountain welcomes me back the way it always does, with a long line of things that want to eat me. I'm a different animal now, though. 9th rank late, 10 times the man who limped off this mountain a month ago, and I cut through the shallow beasts like I'm mowing a lawn, grinding my archery the whole way down the line, and somewhere around the 11th kill, it happens again. Basic archery breaks its limit. Rapid speed. My arrows jump from 300 meters a second to 600 and, a bonus I didn't see coming, so do I. The whole art bleeds over into how fast my body moves. I'm carrying 8,000 jin in these arms now, and a single arrow with both intents stacked behind it lands like 30,000. I put one through a rock the size of a car just to see. The rock has no further comment. Standing in the quiet afterward, looking at a boulder in 2 neat halves, I finally let myself think the thought I've been circling for a month. The fierce tiger gang has spent years bleeding people like my mother, people who couldn't shoot back. I can shoot back now. When the debt's a memory and my family's safe behind a wall, I am going to take that whole gang apart at the roots. I owe it to a lot of people who never got handed a bow. The gang, as it happens, has plans of its own, and mine and theirs meet on the trail home. They step out of the trees, 3 across, 2 goons, and in the middle a bald man with a scar down his face and a reputation that walks into a room a full second before he does. Guo Fan, Lin Hao's favorite blade, the one they send when they want a whole neighborhood to remember to be afraid. He's the kind of man who runs terror like a business and sleeps just fine at night. He looks me over, deeply unimpressed, and tells me to kneel and beg, and maybe he'll make it quick. Here's the thing about a reputation. It's worth exactly what your fists can cash. Guo Fan is 9th rank middle. I'm 9th rank late with 2 intents and a body that halves boulders. He swings first. I catch his blade on mine, once, and the clash lifts him off his feet and throws him 10 meters into a tree, spitting blood, his whole face rearranging itself from menace into arithmetic. I don't give him time to finish the sum. I'm on him before he lands, my blade at his throat, his 2 goons locked in place because their legs have quietly stopped taking orders. Lin Hao sent you, I say. It isn't a question. Why my family? Why my sister? And Guo Fan, who 1 minute ago was going to make it quick for me, tells me everything, fast. The way brave men never do and cruel men always do the second it's their own throat under the edge. Lin Hao sent him. Yes. Kill me outside the wall. Bring back the mother and the girl. Why the girl? He doesn't know. Swears he doesn't, and I believe him, because a man in his position isn't holding anything back for style. All he knows is what he was handed. The girl is special. Special enough that the boss wants her more than money, more than face, more than sense. The plan with me removed was simple and legal. A dead son, a helpless widow, an orphan, and nobody left standing to argue with the paperwork. Special. My 8-year-old sister, who sleeps with a 1-eared rabbit and cries at loud thunder. Special enough to build an entire murder around. I've heard everything he has. So, I finish it. 1 clean stroke, and Guo Fan stops being anyone's problem in this world, and his goons discover their legs work after all and put them to good use. I stand on the trail a while afterward, and I'll be honest with you, I'm angry at myself, not at him. I killed him too fast. He was a door, and special is a room on the far side of it I still can't see into, and now the door's shut for good. My father left me exactly 1 piece of advice that ever stuck. Stay calm in the things that matter most. I wasn't calm. I'm going to have to be next time, because the next man up this chain is Lin Hao himself, and Lin Hao is the one who actually has the answers. Which means before I go anywhere near Lin Hao, I need to stop being a man he can kill. I need to get stronger, and the mountain, in its generous way, immediately tries to help by nearly killing me with opportunity. It starts with the quiet. I push deeper than I've ever dared, and the mountain empties out. No beasts, no birds, nothing. The specific kind of silence that means every animal with any sense has already left the neighborhood. My new senses itch. And then I smell it. Something rich and green and impossibly old, a scent that floods my mouth and makes the tree behind my eyes lean toward it the way a plant leans at a window. Great medicine. Century grade. The kind of thing that turns a nobody into a legend or a corpse, and usually manages both. I belly crawl to a cliff edge and look down into a valley that is currently having a war. There's a pool at the bottom, and out of the pool grows a rock of white jade, and out of the rock grows a single blood-red sapling shaped like a coiling dragon, and hanging off that sapling are 3 fruits. White jade dragon rock fruits. I don't know the name yet. I just know my whole body is screaming, take, take, take. Near spirit medicine. Tens of millions apiece if a thing like this even keeps a price. And gathered around the pool, more than 100 vicious beasts, tearing one another to pieces for the right to get close, because they can smell exactly what I can smell, and not one of them knows how to share. Some old instinct in the back of my skull hands me a memory that isn't quite mine. 30 years ago, a spirit medicine surfaced somewhere in these mountains, and the fight over it painted half of Fengal City red. I'm looking at a rerun of that, in miniature, live. The smart move is to leave. I want you to know I considered leaving, briefly, the way you consider ordering the salad. Instead, I do math, because I'm me. The beasts are already killing each other, and every time one breaks from the pack and lunges for the sapling, it turns its back on everything else and goes still for half a breath, stretching for the prize. A still target, from above, with the wind in my favor. That isn't a fight. That's the one thing in this whole world I happen to be genuinely great at. So I don't fight 100 beasts. I punish ambition. Every time one reaches for the fruit, an arrow finds the back of its skull, and it drops into the scrum, and the scrum tears it apart, and the fighting gets worse, which makes the rest more desperate, which makes more of them reach. 32 arrows. 25 dead, 3 of them tier 1 peaks, the same tier as the leopard that nearly ended me a month ago, and I'm dropping them like it's a ring toss booth. One gets away, a hawk, all speed, that reads the wind as well as I do, and is over the ridge and gone before my arrow can catch it. I let it go, and I file the lesson, because it's a real one. My archery is a hammer, and a hammer is no good against a thing faster than the swing. I need a true archery art, and I need to be able to fight up close for when the arrows run dry. 2 gaps, 2 things to fix. The list, as ever, grows. But that's tomorrow's problem. Today's solution is hanging off a dragon-shaped sapling with nobody left alive to argue about it. I wait until the valley goes still, then climb down through a carpet of things I killed, and I pick 3 fruits the color of milk and moonlight and settle them into my herb box like they're made of glass, which they more or less are, tens of millions each. I'm rich, not paid off the debt rich. Move my family anywhere, buy the window that opens, never flinch at a knock again rich. I really should have held on to the lesson the valley had just finished teaching me. Everything in these mountains can smell a great medicine. Everything, including, as it turns out, the kind of predator that wears a person's face and comes down out of the inner city to collect. They come down into the valley about an hour later, 9 of them, and they do not look like hunters. They look like money. Dark blue uniforms, matched gear, the loose swagger of people who have never once in their lives been told no. At the front, a young man with a fine bow across his back and a face like he smelled something he intends to have removed. Chen family, one of the 3 great families behind the wall, and this is one of their own, a direct line young master. Behind him, 8 guards, and 2 of those set my new senses ringing like a fire alarm. One's an iron tower of a man, 9th rank perfection, the ceiling of my entire realm, Zhao Guang. The other looks like nobody at all, average height, average face, a man you'd forget while staring right at him, and something about how still he holds himself tells me he's the most dangerous person in this valley, Xu Ming. The young master takes in the emptied valley, then the sapling with its one last fruit I never reached, then me, and he smiles like it's his birthday. You've done the hard part for us, he says. Hand over what you picked, and I'll let you keep your legs. Refuse, and we take the fruit off your corpse. Either way's fine with me. Honestly, I'd prefer the second one. 9 on 1. A perfection rank tank, a hidden viper, 6 guards, and a young master who'd prefer the second one. A month ago, this is the valley where I die, but I've learned something the young master hasn't. A pit with one way out up a cliff is only a trap if you're the one standing on the floor. So I do the coward's thing, which is also the smart thing. I turn and bolt for the cliff wall like the terrified slum kid he takes me for, and they laugh, and they come after me, and the instant I've got height and they're strung out in the open below, I stop being a coward. 2 arrows at the young master first. Not to kill, just to make him dive, make him small, take the general off the board for 1 breath. He dives. And in that breath, while every eye in the valley snaps to their falling prince, I put 3 arrows into the iron tower. Zhao Guang is a wall. 3 arrows don't punch through a 9th rank perfection body, and they don't need to. I stack all 3 into the same shoulder, one behind the next, 30,000 jin driven into a single point, and the arm comes off. The tower screams. The tower is now a tower with 1 arm. That's when the 6 ordinary guards do something that stops me cold for half a second. They don't scatter. They don't try to cut a deal. They step in front of their young master and lock together into a wall of bodies, blades up, eyes full of something that is absolutely not loyalty. It's terror, and not of me, of him. I find out why in the next few seconds, the way you find out anything from men who know they're about to die. They stop keeping the secret. Their families live inside Chen compounds. Wives, children, old parents, held, the way a bank holds a deposit. Do the job or the family pays. That's the loyalty the great families actually run on. Not love, not gold. Hostages. And here's the ugly arithmetic of it, the part I don't get to feel clean about afterward. It changes nothing. They will kill me to keep their families breathing, and I will die if I let them, and my family needs me to walk out of this valley on my own feet. So I do it fast and I do it clean. 6 arrows, 6 throats, no one left to suffer, which is the only mercy the situation left me any room to hand out. They go down almost grateful. I've carried that one a while. Then I drop off the wall and finish the 1-arm tower with my blade, because a wounded perfection rank is still a perfection rank, and Zhao Guang dies swinging, which is more than his master will manage, because the young master runs. Of course he runs. The brave ones with hostages do the dying. The one the hostages are for does the running. He runs, and the quiet viper Xu Ming goes with him, half dragging him up the slope, and I take the ridge after them, faster than either, close enough to hear every word. I hear the young master, out of breath and out of grace, telling Xu Ming exactly what's coming. When we're home, you're finished. You let a slum rat cripple Zhao Guang. I'll have your whole line thrown into the street. Your mother, your on and on. A boy who's just watched 6 of his own men die and can only think about who to punish for it. And then the part that settles it for me. And the hunter's family. Find out where the rat sleeps. Mother, sister, all of them. I want the name Lu scrubbed off the earth. There it is. He said sister. He put my sister on his little list. And Xu Ming, the viper, the most dangerous man in the valley, the one who might actually have given me a real fight. Xu Ming stops running. He turns around. He looks at me with the flattest, most tired eyes I've ever seen on a living man, and I understand it before he says a word. His family's held too. He's been somebody's leashed dog for years. He raises his blade, not because he wants to, but because somewhere in a Chen compound there are people who'll be made to pay if he doesn't. Make it count, he says. It isn't a threat, it's a request. I make it count. 12 arrows in a spreading fan, more than he can turn aside, and the last thing to cross Xu Ming's forgettable, exhausted face is relief. He dies knowing the young master dies here too, in this valley, with no report ever reaching home. No report means no order goes out. No order means his family, wherever they're held, just quietly stopped being worth the trouble of hurting. He dies relieved. I've thought about that more than I've thought about almost anything else from that day. The young master I catch at the top of the ridge, and there's no speech and no swagger left in him by then, just a rich boy who ran out of people to stand behind, learning all at once that the world on this side of the wall does not care what his surname is. He put my sister on a list. That's the entire eulogy he earns. One stroke, and the Chen family is short, one direct line heir, and doesn't know it yet. I go through what they left behind. A tier 2 bow and a tier 2 blade, $1 million apiece, real weapons, a serious step up from the gear I bought a month ago. And on the young master's wrist, a communication watch, sleek, costly, the kind only inner city people wear, wired into a network I've never once been allowed to touch. I stare at that watch a long time, and a cold little worry starts climbing my spine. Because I don't know what it does. I don't know if it saw me. I don't know whether some Chen family elder is, at this exact moment, looking at a picture of my face. I take it. I take the bodies too, and I start thinking very hard about how a slum kid makes 9 inner city corpses look like nothing but bad luck in a bad valley. The rich part of the day is over. The staying alive part is only getting started. First problem, the watch won't die. I try to crush it, and it laughs at me. Some inner city super alloy. It shrugs off 30,000 jin like I'm squeezing a stress ball. It takes dozens of blade strokes to finally split the thing, and it's only once it's in pieces that the cold thought lands. What if it took a picture the second it laid eyes on me? What if destroying it just means I smashed the evidence after it already mailed itself home? No way to know now. Onto the list it goes. Second problem, 9 bodies that badly need to not look like murder. So I drag every Chen corpse back down into the valley and lay them in the carpet of dead beasts, where the scavengers will be along by morning to blur the difference between killed by a hunter and killed by the mountain. It's grim work. It's also good work. A man eaten by beasts in a beast valley is a tragedy, not a crime, and tragedies don't come with investigations. Then I do the thing that actually matters, which is get paid. Hundreds of cores off the beasts I dropped today. I pack 4 heavy bags, bury 3 outside the mountain where only I'll ever find them, and carry 1 home. Never show the world your whole hand. My father didn't teach me much before he vanished, but he taught me that. Behind the wall, meanwhile, the day is going differently for a man in a much nicer room. The Chen family head is staring at a dead signal. His son's watch has gone dark, not low battery dark, destroyed dark, and every parent in his world knows exactly what that means. The boy is in mortal trouble, or well past it. There are no images, because Python Mountain swallows signals whole, which is the single break I catch all day. But the head doesn't need a picture to do arithmetic. His heir went into the mountains chasing a great medicine and then stopped existing. If a beast did it, that's grief. If a man did it, if a man did this, he says very quietly, to a room full of people who have all gone very still, I will make him regret that his mother ever met his father. Then he lays his hand flat on his desk, and the desk stops being a desk. He sends men to comb Python Mountain. He sends men to watch the city gate. He is, in short, precisely the storm I was afraid of, and he is looking in precisely the right direction. So naturally, the gate is thick with Chen men by the time I get back, checking everyone coming off the mountain road. And my heart does a small thing, but my face does not, because a face that does a thing at a checkpoint is a face that gets remembered. I'm just a tired hunter with a bag of cores and cheap boots. They glance at me. They glance past me. I walk through. And on the far side, I let out a slow breath and learn something useful from the simple fact that I'm still walking free. The watch didn't auto-send. If it had, they wouldn't be out here squinting at faces at a gate. They'd have arrested me by name at my own front door. They don't have a name. They've got a hole where an heir used to be and no idea who dug it. I can work with a hole. I take the cores to Wanchun Tong, and Feng Li weighs 11 of them, one a tier 1 peak, and pays out 5,300,000 without so much as a blink, then leans on the counter to gossip, because Feng Li runs on gossip the way I run on meat. You hear the big news? Chen family's a disaster today. One of their young masters got himself killed out in Python Mountain, the direct line brat, Wang Qingshan. He says the name the way you'd say a stain on a good rug. Between you and me, and the wall, and anybody else listening in, if somebody put that boy in the ground on purpose, I'd like to buy them a drink, set off a few firecrackers, maybe organize a small parade. I keep my face on the cores and my hands steady, which takes a little doing because I'm the parade he's offering to throw. Not a fan, I take it. Wang Qingshan, Feng Li says, with the warmth of a man describing a rash, was a cruel, stupid, wholly useless waste of a perfectly good surname, and I say that as a man who happens to share it. Which is the first I'm hearing that my friendly neighborhood core buyer is himself a Chen who openly despises the Chens, apparently, which is a puzzle I'm currently far too rich to bother solving. He slides a thick book across the counter, no charge. Herb Encyclopedia, 3,000 entries. A hunter who can't name what he's hauling gets robbed by men like me. Call it a professional courtesy, and do stay off Python Mountain a while. The whole family's crawling all over it hunting a ghost. Be a shame if my best supplier turned into a statistic. I thank him and go, and here's the part I don't see. The second I'm out the door, Feng Li stops smiling. He looks at the readout of my cores, the tier of what a supposed 9th rank hunter just sold him like it was nothing, and he does some quiet arithmetic of his own. He has, as it turns out, a recommendation slot for something called the Demon Suppression Division. A rare, valuable thing. One he's been carefully saving, one he's been quietly refusing to waste on the useless Chen Juniors who keep asking him for it. He taps the counter, watching the door I just walked out of, and decides to keep an eye on the slum kid who kills so far above his weight. That decision is going to reroute my entire life. I have absolutely no idea it's happening. I go home the long way and buy a whole roast duck because Xiaoli loves roast duck more than she loves nearly anything on this earth. And tonight, for once, I can afford to be the kind of brother who just buys the duck. She lights up like somebody brought the sun indoors. My mother scolds me for spoiling her, then goes quiet, then gets the look she gets. The one that means she's thinking about my father, about how he used to bring home a duck on the rare good month, back before he walked out into the world and forgot the way home. I put an arm around her. I don't make any promises about him because I don't have any to make. I make the one promise I can actually keep, which is that whatever comes, they have me now. She pretends to believe me, because that's what mothers do. Maybe she even means it. Either way, we eat the duck, and for one night, the tower doesn't feel like it's falling down. Later, alone, I open Feng Li's encyclopedia and find my fruit on page whatever, white jade dragon rock fruit, tempers the body, and this is the line I underline in my head, strengthens the soul, strengthens the spirit, near spirit medicine. I am holding 3 of these. My mind wanders somewhere very interesting. I eat one that night, just the one. I'm not an idiot about the other 2. Eat is a generous word for what happens. It's less a snack and more a small war fought inside my own body, a century of raw medicine slamming through me all at once, and if I didn't have a technique to refine it and a tree that turns agony into progress, it would simply cook me from the skin in. Instead, I sit cross-legged and pour every scrap of it into the savage elephant method, hour after hour, and the technique climbs, all 21 forms, to perfection, and my cultivation cracks up to 9th rank peak. My strength jumps from 8,000 jin to somewhere past 16, maybe 20. I throw a testing punch at the air, and this time I don't even hear the crack. The sound shows up a moment later from across the room, like it had to run to catch up. And here's the wild part. I've refined maybe half of it. The rest is still banked in me, a slow-burning coal that'll keep tempering my body for weeks. And I've got a strong feeling that when it finally finishes, it's going to do to my mind what killing the leopard did, and shove my spirit clean past a limit too. 9th rank peak. 1 rung short of a whole new realm. A month and change ago, I couldn't stop a thug from putting his boots up on my mother's table. Now I sit in the dark doing quiet math, and I realize I've stopped trying to survive the inner city. I'm about to walk into it on purpose. The inner city costs 1,000 yuan just to walk into, and you have to be back out by 6, and it is worth every coin and every minute of it. I've lived my whole life a single wall away from this place and never once seen it. Clean streets, air that doesn't taste like the tower, kids in school uniforms who have never had to run from anyone, shops selling things I don't have words for. It isn't a nicer version of my world, it's an entirely different planet that happens to share a fence, and 4 million of us on the wrong side of that fence spend our whole lives pretending we don't know it's here. I walk through it with my jaw politely shut and my eyes working overtime. I'm not here to sightsee though, I'm here for the Martial Artist Association. The association is where you go to get a number stamped on you that the rest of the world then agrees to respect. The examiner I draw is a sharp-eyed young man named Jian Yi, who takes one look at my cheap boots and my outer city everything and settles in to be bored. They stand me in front of a force measuring array and tell me to punch it. Now, I have a decision to make in about half a second, and it's the first time I make the exact decision that turns into a lifelong habit. How much do I show? Because if I hit this thing with everything I've got, the number that lights up buys me attention I absolutely cannot afford. The kind of attention that asks how a slum kid punches like a monster. So I don't hit it with everything. I hit it with enough. 32,100 Jin at 9.3 strikes a second. The array beeps. Xianxia stops being bored so fast he nearly loses his footing, because 32,000 Jin is tier 2 combat power, and I'm officially a tier 1 nobody, which means I'm punching a full realm above where I'm standing, and that's the number I chose to let them see. Elementary tier 1, martial artist, tier 2 combat power, movement 52 meters a second, overall assessment, excellent. The good kind of freak, the recruitable kind. Excellent, as it turns out, comes with a package that nearly puts me on the floor. Inner city residency, not only for me, for my family. A stipend of 30,000 a month for the crime of existing. A medium-grade skin refining technique and 100,000 in starter resources. Everything I've been bleeding on a mountain to earn, handed to me across a desk because I punched a wall the right amount. I keep my face flat. Inside, one thought is up on its feet cheering, Xiao Li gets a real school. My mother gets a window that opens on this side of the wall, where nobody named Zhou Wei or Lin Hao can ever reach her. Everything I wanted out of those fruits, and I get to keep the fruits. Then Xianxia makes his real pitch, which is the reason he stopped being bored. You can take the association package and be comfortable, he says. Or you can sign with the Martial Hall and be dangerous. There are 4 halls in Fengal City. 3 of them quietly belong to the 3 great families. Join one of those and you're a tool on a leash. The 4th is Kunlun. We don't care who your father was. We take you on merit. We're the only hall in this city with its own high-grade technique, and our master answers to no one. Sign with Kunlun, and I can promise you a high-grade skin refining technique, real resources, and the freedom to actually become something. A high-grade technique. The exact thing Feng Li told me flat out that you cannot buy at any price, and a hall with no family leash on it, which matters to me more than Xianxia can possibly know. Because I've just spent a month at war with one great family, and I am not about to fasten a collar on for another one. I don't say yes. My father's one lesson, stay calm in the things that matter most. I tell Xianxia I need 3 days. He looks like a man who respects that and resents it in equal measure. Good. On my way out, I do the single most grown-up thing I've ever done, which is take out a mortgage. 130 square meter flat inside the wall, 12 million, most of it borrowed, a few million down out of my suddenly enormous pockets. I sign a stack of paper that turns me back into a debtor, and I feel fantastic about it because this is the good kind of debt. The kind where, at the end of it, my mother sleeps behind a wall. My file, meanwhile, lands on a desk it was never meant to reach. Kunlun's master is a man named Wu Kai, white hair, a young man's face, 7th rank, which in Fengal City makes him roughly a god with excellent manners. Xianxia carries my results into him the way you carry your boss something that's on fire. Wu Kai reads it once, reads it again, a tier 1 realm putting out tier 2 power out of the outer city slums, no family, no teacher, no record of any kind. A peerless genius, he says softly, grown up in a crack in the pavement. He wants me. But Wu Kai did not reach 7th rank by grabbing at every shiny thing that rolled past. Look into him, he tells Xianxia. His whole past year, who he is when nobody's testing him, talent I can teach. Character is the one thing a man walks in the door already having, or he never has it at all. He is, I'll come to learn, almost always the smartest man in any given room. It is occasionally extremely annoying. I spend one of my 3 days doing the thing I should always do, which is ask the one honest man I know. I go to Wanchuntong and I squeeze Feng Li for everything he's got on Kunlun. He doesn't even bother pretending to be neutral. Kunlun's the only one worth a damn, he says. Only hall in the city with its own high-grade technique. Only master in the city sitting at 7th rank. Wu Kai is the genuine article, hard, fair, and he will not sell you to anybody. If a kid like you is getting that offer, then a kid like you takes it. He aims a biscuit at me, and you'll owe me for the tip. I'll collect eventually. I always do. That settles it. I'll sign with Kunlun. And once again, the scene that matters is the one that happens after I've left. Feng Li watches the door swing shut, then makes a call. Uncle Fu, pull the Lu Boys Association scores. All of them, including whatever he thinks he managed to hide. A pause. Then, in a voice with none of the shopkeeper left anywhere in it, a voice with iron running all the way to the bottom. And remind the family, I don't care whose son does what. I'm Demon Suppression Division. We slay demons and we protect this country, and any Chen who steps over that line, blood or not, I'll put down myself. Demon Suppression Division. My gossipy, biscuit-pushing core buyer is a demon slayer of the state, quietly running a shop in the slums, watching for exactly the kind of person I'm in the middle of becoming. I don't know that yet. When I finally find out, a great many things are going to make a great deal more sense, and a few of them are going to get a great deal more dangerous. I come home 3 days later to go sign my life over to Kunlun, and my front door is off its hinges. I know before I'm through it. The flat's been torn apart. My mother is on the floor against the wall, and someone has hurt her. I'll spare you what I saw. I've spent a long time trying not to see it myself, and she's crying, but not for her own sake. She's crying a name, Xiaoli. They took Xiaoli. The fierce tiger gang came while I was across the wall playing at being a citizen. They came for the girl Lin Hao keeps calling special, and they beat my mother down when she wouldn't let go of her, and they carried my little sister off into the one corner of this city where the gang is the only law there is. Something in me goes very quiet. Not calm, quiet. The specific quiet a place gets in the minute before the weather arrives. I get my mother steady, and I tell her I'll bring Xiaoli home, and I mean it in a way that has nothing at all to do with hope. I don't report it. Report it to who? The outer city belongs to these people. The ones you'd report it to are on their payroll. I take my bow and my blade down off the wall, and I go to collect my sister, and I remember Guo Fan on that trail saying she's special, and I think, I'm about to learn exactly how special, and somebody is about to be very, very sorry they ever found out first. Lin Hao's villa sits in the good part of the bad part of town. Walls, guards, a gate. There's a man on that gate. There was a man on that gate. I don't slow down for the paperwork. And then I go inside, and I stop being a thing the fierce tiger gang is capable of surviving. I've never used the 5 elements as a killing art before. It's a body tempering method, not a sword style, but a technique at perfection is really just a language, and tonight I am fluent and I am furious. 100-odd gang members stand between me and my sister, and I move through them the way weather moves through a wheat field. The first 10 come at me together, brave with numbers. I'm not standing where they swing. The courtyard's full of men who've spent years being the scariest thing in a poor neighborhood, and to a one they've never met anything faster than themselves, and I am so much faster than themselves. A blade comes down. I'm behind the man holding it. 3 rush the gate to run. They don't reach the gate. Someone shouts an order, and I'm across the yard before the order's finished, and then there's no one left to give orders to. It takes under a minute. I'd like to tell you it was a fight. It wasn't. Not one of them was ever going to lay a hand on me. When it's over and I'm standing in the middle of the courtyard, there isn't a drop on me anywhere, which I'm aware sounds like a boast and is just, flatly, what happened. When you're fast enough and clean enough, the mess never gets the chance to reach you, and the handful of survivors take one look at the untouched man standing in the very much touched courtyard and run screaming for their hallmaster. Lin Hao comes out to see what's ruining his evening. He's the real article, at least by outer city standards. Elementary tier 1 peak, medium grade skin, a big ugly axe he calls Wind Slash that swings 15,000 jin. He also, within the first 10 seconds, kicks one of his own fleeing men to death for the crime of being frightened, which tells me everything I need to know about why not one person in this villa is going to lift a finger to save him. Where's my sister? I say. He answers with the axe. I answer with a single clash, and Lin Hao leaves his feet and hits a wall, and his ribs make a sound ribs are not supposed to make. His gang, watching their untouchable boss get folded into the masonry by a slum kid, does not rush to his defense. They edge backward. Nobody loves Lin Hao. It turns out that matters, right at the end. He knows he's lost the straight fight, so he tries to buy his way out of it. Offers me the sister back if I'll just turn around and walk away, as if she was ever his to trade, as if I came all this way to negotiate. I tell him no, and that is when Lin Hao does the thing that turns this from a bad night into an entirely different kind of story. He starts to chant. His skin splits open into black scales. His body swells past 2 meters, his face flattens into something with far too much snake in it, and his power doesn't climb. It leaps, clean past mine, into 8th rank, bone tempering, a whole realm above where he stood 1 breath ago. A serpent god blood art. He chases it by swallowing a blood pill and jumps again, to 8th rank middle, and Wind Slash is suddenly hauling 50,000 jin behind it, and I go from winning this fight to very much not winning this fight. The thing wearing Lin Hao grins at me with a mouth that was never built for grinning. Whatever this gang really is, whatever my little sister is special to, it is so much bigger and so much worse than a debt and a gang and a bald man on a trail, and right now it is bringing a 50,000 jin axe down at my head. 2 things save my life. The first is that I flatly refuse to die in a courtyard with my sister somewhere in the building above me. The second is that Lin Hao's shortcut came with a bill. I take the 50,000 jin axe on a turned blade, and it nearly snaps my arm, and I give ground, and I bleed, and I last, because I've noticed the black scales are already going dull. A blood art that vaults you a whole realm in 10 seconds isn't a gift, it's a loan, and the interest is your own life essence. Every swing costs him. He's spending himself to kill me, and I happen to be the one man in the outer city with the patience and the body to simply wait him out. His strength ebbs, the snake grin slips, and the second it does, I stop giving ground and start taking it back. 1 opening is all the tree has ever needed. I go through the gap and I end it, and the thing that used to be Lin Hao comes apart and goes down, and its blood, when it spills across the stones, runs black as tar in the courtyard light. Not red, black. I stand over it, arms screaming, breath sawing, and I think, that is not how people bleed. I'm not the only one who noticed the way he died. Across the city, in his shop, Feng Li goes still in the middle of a sentence because a demon slayer of the state can feel a demon's power flare the way you feel a door slams somewhere else in the house, and he's already moving, out the back, running for my end of town. And on Kunlun Mountain, a bell that rings for exactly one reason begins to ring, and Wu Kai, 7th rank, master of the only real hall in the city, drops everything and points himself at the outer city slums, turning over a hard little thought about how a demon this bold means the rot has grown in closer than anyone wanted to admit. Both of them are converging on one grubby courtyard, and in that courtyard, right now, there's just me, a black-blooded corpse, and a building I still have to search. I find her in a back room. Shaoli is bound and drugged, small on a bare cot, breathing slow and even, unconscious, but whole, not hurt. They wanted her for something that needed her unharmed, and I'm going to spend a long time being sick about what that something was. But right now, tonight, it means my sister is alive and in one piece, and the sound that comes out of me when I understand that isn't a word at all. I cut the ropes. I gather her up, this 8-year-old who still sleeps with a one-eared rabbit, and I hold her against my shoulder, and I tell her the thing I crossed a wall and went through 100 men and a demon to be able to say. Brother's here, brother's taking you home. She doesn't hear it. That's all right. I needed to say it more than she needed to hear it. That's how Feng Li finds me, a slum kid with a sleeping child on one arm and a black-blooded corpse cooling at his feet. He studies the body a long moment, and when he looks back up, my gossipy core buyer is gone, and the demon slayer is standing there in his place. You know what you killed? He says, quiet. That stopped being a man some time ago. That was a demon martial artist. He gave himself to an evil god for that blood art. The black is how it tells on him. He crouches, presses a pill between Xiaoli's lips, says she'll wake within the hour. No charge, no smirk. Then he looks at my sister a beat too long, and something moves across his face, and he says the thing that quietly reorders my entire world. Her spirituality. I have never felt anything like it. That's why they wanted her, kid. Not for ransom, not for leverage. He picks the next words with care, and he refuses to soften them, because softening them is the kind of kindness that gets me killed later. A demon that serves a hungry god needs offerings, and the rarer the soul, the more the god pays back. Your sister has a soul like a lit beacon. They meant to give her to it. And now that one nest of them has felt her, others will come looking. This doesn't end tonight. If anything, it just started. Sacrifice, not a debt, not some marriage brokered by thugs, a soul rare enough that things in the dark run the numbers on it. My little sister, who cries at loud thunder, is carrying a light inside her that monsters can see from clear across the city. I hold her a little tighter, and I start, right there, quietly tearing down and rebuilding my whole idea of what I'm going to have to become. Wu Kai sets down on the rooftop a minute later, and for a moment, the two most powerful men I've ever stood near take each other's measure over my head. They know each other. They don't especially like each other. Feng Li of the Demon Suppression Division and Wu Kai of Kunlun circle the same conversational drain for a while. Who has jurisdiction here? Who owes whom? What ends up written in which report? It's the careful fencing of two people who each have a few things they'd rather the other didn't say out loud. Then Feng Li lays down a real card. Lin Hao wasn't a lone patch of rot. He belonged to something, a rising cult he names the Spirit Snake Sect, a thing that slides into 3rd and 4th tier cities like mine and hollows them out from below, and it has almost certainly already put roots down in Fengal. He asks Wu Kai for 2 things, keep this quiet and be ready to help when it stops being quiet. Wu Kai agrees, easily, generously. And then, once the Demon Slayer is gone, Wu Kai does the thing that tells me exactly who he is. He doesn't go home. He follows me, silent as a held breath, all the way back to my torn-up flat, watching the slum kid who just killed a demon martial artist carry his impossibly gifted little sister home through the dark. He isn't planning to hurt me. He's doing arithmetic of his own, about a boy with a monster's rate of growth and a girl with a beacon for a soul, and about what a master might give to get the pair of them under one roof. Everybody, it turns out, is doing math about my family tonight. I'm just the only one willing to bleed for the answer. While I'm carrying my sister home, Feng Li is on his watch to someone I haven't met yet, and his voice is doing a thing I've never once heard it do. It's excited. I've got a candidate, he says. Here, in Fengal, a 3rd-tier city. Higher spirituality than... And he says a name. Some standard he's holding her up against, and whoever's on the other end of the line goes quiet in the very specific way people go quiet when you've just told them something that shouldn't be possible. A cold woman's voice answers. That is not possible in a city this small. A pause. I'm coming. Now. Somewhere out in the world, a cultivator of something called the Suspended Mirror Division hangs up and starts traveling toward my little sister. The list of people who want a piece of my family just picked up a new name, and this one isn't even a villain, which somehow makes it worse. I get Xiaoli home, and the whole floor turns out to stare because the stories already outrun me. The Lu boy walked into Lin Hao's villa and walked back out with his sister on his arm. Nobody does that. My mother takes one look at Xiaoli breathing easy against my shoulder and simply folds. The pill does its work. Inside the hour, Xiaoli blinks awake, groggy and confused and completely, gloriously fine. And the first thing she asks is whether there's any duck left. I have to step out of the room for a second and be a person about it in the hall. What none of them can see is that I'm quietly falling apart. Trading blows with a demon martial artist 2 full realms above me left my organs sitting where organs are not meant to sit, and a lot of me quietly on fire. I don't say a word about it. My mother's had enough for one night. I take a healing potion, sit down against my bedroom wall, and pour the pain straight into the savage elephant method, because the one genuinely great thing about my entire life is that even bleeding on the inside is just more coal for the furnace, and the furnace pays out. Somewhere in the small hours, stitching myself back together one breath at a time, the savage elephant method hits its wall and kicks clean through it. Giant elephant strength, my raw power doubled all over again, and this time when I flick a finger a cheap little ornament on the far shelf just comes apart, meters away, from the pressure of it alone. That makes 3. Fierce tiger intent, rapid speed, giant elephant strength. Every art I own has now punched past its ceiling into something that multiplies the others. My injuries close over stronger than the skin that tore. I sit in the dark, taking inventory of a body that keeps rewriting its own limits, and I think, not for the first time, that whatever fell out of that meteor did not come with a manual, and very definitely did not come with brakes. The tree agrees. When I finally turn my attention inward, the second branch is heavy with a full fruit now, blue, not ripe yet, but there, grown fat off Lin Hao, because a demon, as it happens, feeds the tree like 100 beasts at once. Another entry, on the way. I have no idea what it'll turn out to be. Everyone so far has bent the rules a little further than the last, and I've started to genuinely look forward to the reveal the way other people look forward to a holiday. I make one decision before I let myself sleep. Tomorrow, we move. Behind the wall, into the flat, out of reach of everyone who knows this address by heart. A clean start for a family that has earned roughly 6 of them. I don't get to sleep on it. An hour before dawn, something leans against my senses through the front door. A weight, a stillness, a pressure, like standing at the foot of a mountain and feeling the mountain notice you back. Not a demon. Worse in a way, a person, and a vastly powerful one, standing politely in the corridor of a condemned tower where nobody that powerful has any reason to be. Then a calm voice comes through the door, friendly, unhurried, entirely certain of its welcome. Wen Jai? My name is Wu Kai of Kunlun Martial Hall. I think it's time the two of us had a talk. Wu Kai is exactly as advertised. White hair, young face, and a presence that makes my crumbling living room feel like it ought to apologize for its own furniture. He sits. He accepts my mother's tea like it's the finest thing he's tasted all year, which wins her over on the spot, and I file away that this man is dangerous in the very specific way of people everybody instantly likes. Then he makes his offer, and it's a good one. Sign with Kunlun and he'll throw in a high-grade martial skill on top of the high-grade technique Jianyi already dangled. A genuinely staggering sweetener. I'm nodding along, running the numbers on what that would mean for me, when he arrives at the second thing he wants, and the temperature in the room quietly drops. The second thing, he says gently, is your sister. Then he explains a whole layer of the world I never knew was there, and he does it kindly, which somehow only makes it land harder. There are martial artists, me, Lin Hao, the entire ladder I've been hauling myself up, bodies tempered into weapons, and then there are cultivators. A completely separate road. They don't refine flesh, they follow the Tao, they walk in step with nature, and here's the part that quietly rewrites my whole life. They are the ones who brew the pills I eat and forge the divine weapons the great families hoard. Every treasure I've been killing and buying for, some cultivator somewhere grew or hammered into being. They're the layer above the layer I thought was the ceiling. And my sister, Wu Kai says, has the soul of a cultivator. Not a good one. A once-in-generations one. That beacon Feng Li felt last night. That's raw talent of a kind that martial halls, cultivator sects, and, yes, demon cults would all cheerfully commit any crime to lay hands on. Lin Hao didn't choose her for a sacrifice because she was handy. He chose her because a soul like hers is worth breaking a god's own rules to get. I can protect that, Wu Kai says. Kunlun can. Let me take her up the mountain, teach her, keep her behind walls a Lin Hao couldn't dream his way through. In return, you get everything I've promised, and then some. It's a good offer. It's a generous offer. And I already know I'm going to say no because there's a door open behind me and a small voice has just come through it. Jay Gay, Xiao Li says from the doorway, awake, clutching the one-eared rabbit, eyes enormous. Are you giving me away? And that's the entire negotiation, right there, finished before it started. I turn around and crouch down to her level and I say, never, not to anyone, not for anything. And I mean it so completely that when I stand back up, even Wu Kai, 7th rank, master of mountains, reads my face and understands the mountain is not getting her. The room gets more crowded before it gets any simpler. Feng Li arrives, and with him a woman in white, cold, precise, beautiful in the way of a drawn blade, the kind of stillness that's actually enormous power choosing to hold itself perfectly still. Li Ruoyan of the Suspended Mirror Division, the cultivator he called in the night. So now there are two great powers standing in my living room, both wanting the exact same little girl, and they spend a couple of minutes being frostily courteous to one another in the manner of rivals who each assumed they'd be the first to arrive. I let them fence. Then I say no to both of them, out loud, and Feng Li, who's on my side more or less, gives it to me straight. Kid, I like you, so hear this. The Spirit Snake sect knows she exists now. They will keep coming. Next time it might not be a Lin Hao you can beat, it might be something you can't, and it'll come while you're across the wall punching a board for a certificate. I can't guard her, my work drags me all over the map, and you can't stand over her every hour of every day and still grow strong enough to matter. Somebody has to. He's right, and I hate that he's right, and I flatly refuse to accept that being right means I hand my sister to strangers and wave from the doorway. So I do the thing I always seem to end up doing, which is find the third option nobody put on the table. She doesn't leave, I say. She stays with our mother, in this city, where I can lay eyes on her. But a teacher comes to her. One of you stations someone here, in Fengal, to train her and keep her safe right where she sleeps. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. Wu Kai won't. Kunlun's a mountain. It does not relocate for a single student, however gifted. But Li Ruoyan tilts her head, studies my sister for a long, quiet moment, and says yes. She'll move to Fengal. She'll take the flat across the hall. She'll pose as an ordinary school teacher, arrange Xiao Li's real schooling herself, and train that beacon of a soul quietly until my sister turns 15. And then, when Xiao Li is old enough to choose it for herself, she'll join the Suspended Mirror Division. In exchange, Li Ruoyan gives up a claim of her own, and Feng Li quietly folds his demon suppression recommendation into the bargain too. My sister stays. My sister is safe. My sister gets a future the 21st floor could never have handed her, and I don't have to lose her to get it. I would take that trade every single day of my life. Xiao Li bows to Li Ruoyan and calls her teacher, shy and solemn, and Li Ruoyan's cold face does something small and nearly warm, and I let myself believe this stranger might actually be good to her. On his way out, I ask Feng Li about the Demon Suppression Division, about joining, about the road he keeps almost, not quite offering me. He claps a hand on my shoulder. Hit 8th rank first, he says. Get your bones properly under you. Then come find me, and we'll talk about the rest of your life. And beneath the city, in a room I hope to never see, the other side is holding a meeting of its own. Somewhere under Fengal there's a chamber with a snake god idol in it, and not nearly enough light. And in that chamber, a man in a black robe is taking bad news. Lin Hao is dead, his whole branch gutted, by a nobody. But the black-robed messenger of the Spirit Snake sect isn't really listening to the part about Lin Hao. He's listening to the part he makes them repeat twice. That the reason for all of it was a girl with a soul that made a demon martial artist break cover to snatch her. A higher spiritual being, the messenger says softly, and something shifts under his hood that is not a smile. Here, in a gutter city like this one, he folds his hands. Confirm it, and once it's confirmed, bring them both to me, the girl, and whoever keeps getting in the way, whatever it costs. Whatever it costs. I don't hear him say it, but I'm going to spend the next long stretch of my life paying that bill anyway, one demon at a time. We move the next day, and I'd love to describe the moment my mother walks into the new flat, but I don't have the words for it, so I'll just tell you she stood in the doorway a long while, then crossed the room and opened a window. It opened. In our old place, on the 21st floor, the windows were painted shut a decade before we got there, and you learned not to notice. The way you learn not to notice a lot of things when the alternative is wanting what you can't have. She stood at that open window a long time, breathing air that didn't taste like the tower, and then she cried. I pretended not to notice that either, because a man has to let his mother cry at a window that opens in peace. Xiao Li, meanwhile, ran a full lap of the place shrieking about having her own room, opened every cupboard, tested the couch by falling off it on purpose, and then asked, very seriously, whether we were rich now. I told her we were doing all right. I didn't say the true thing, which is that I'd have leveled every tower in the outer city brick by brick to buy that shriek, and considered it a bargain. Bachin Mansion, behind the wall. Xiao Li has a room of her own. My mother has a kitchen bigger than our entire old apartment. Li Royan takes the flat across the hall, exactly as promised, and starts playing school teacher so convincingly that I half believe it myself. Then I go sign my life over to Kunlun, and Kunlun, it turns out, signs back a good deal harder than I was braced for. Jianyi meets me at the gate. Turns out he's Wu Kai's 5th disciple, not merely an examiner, which means the man who nearly fell asleep over my boots is now, more or less, my senior brother. The paperwork alone rewrites my life. As a Kunlun member, I'm handed the high-grade 5-element skin refining method and a high-grade close combat art called the Hurricane Blade Technique. The exact 2 gaps I spotted for myself on that mountain, the true body art and the real blade, dropped into my lap in a folder. Wu Kai also gives me a new watch. The latest Kunlun model, Autophoto, works even in the deep wild where ordinary signals go to die. And that's when a small mystery clicks shut in the most satisfying way. This is why the Chen family never got a picture of me. Only Kunlun and the government carry watches that can punch through Python Mountain's dead air. The one I smashed off Wang Qingshan's wrist was a cheaper model that never stood a chance of mailing anything home. I'd spent days sweating a photograph that was never taken. Then Wu Kai offers me the thing I didn't dare ask for. Not membership, discipleship, his personal disciple. But understand this, he says, and for once he isn't gentle about it. My disciple inherits my road, my allies, my enemies, and every debt of karma I've ever failed to settle. Take my name, and you take the whole of my shadow with it. I think it over for roughly 1 second, because a man like Wu Kai is the finest shield my family could ever stand behind, and I say yes. I become his 7th personal disciple. He marks it by putting a blade in my hands, the Blood Shadow Battle Blade, a Tier 3 divine weapon worth 30 million and change, a thing that hums low when I grip it, like it's been waiting a long time for someone with a proper grudge. It has come to exactly the right man. They give me a private training room, number 007, with an AI assistant called Xiao Yi who runs the arrays and, crucially, keeps my records somewhere only I can reach them. Which matters, because for the first time in my life, I have a place where I can cut loose with no audience at all. I punch the array with something a lot closer to everything. 83,000 Jin, 21 strikes a second, movement just short of 140 meters a second, numbers that beat a healthy chunk of the 8th rank posted by a man who is, officially, still 9th. I look at the readout a moment. Glowing there. Hard proof of exactly how much of a freak I've quietly become. Then I have Xiao Yi wipe it. All of it. Old habit, and a good one. The world does not get to know my real ceiling, because the day it does is the day somebody clever enough to be frightened decides to deal with me before I get any worse. Xiao Yi deletes the log without a word of comment. I am going to make that poor AI delete a truly heroic number of logs before we're done. Then I settle in and grind the 2 new high-grade arts, and the tree does what the tree does best. What I don't see is Wu Kai and Jianyi later that night having a far darker conversation than mine. There's a name they say quietly and then look like they wish they hadn't, the Liang family. One of the 3 great families, inner-city royalty, and, if the whispers run true, worshippers of an evil god, people who make other people disappear and call it devotion. Some of the disappeared are kin to Kunlun's own disciples. Wu Kai, who is nobody's fool, does the careful thing. He tells Jianyi to file every loss as a missing person and to keep the name Liang out of every report, because you do not start a fight with a great family until you can end it in a single move. He's playing a long, patient game. I'm about to go stumbling straight into the middle of it because that is simply the sort of thing I do. A month goes by inside room 007. Both high-grade arts, the 5 elements skin refining and the hurricane blade, reach perfection, work that's supposed to eat a year, and my cultivation climbs into 9th rank copper skin. My movement past 200 meters a second. I'm eating like a whole district and progressing like a legend, and I'm just beginning to feel comfortable, which is, without fail, the precise moment the world winds up to take a swing. I leave the mountain that afternoon to do the most ordinary thing there is, pick my little sister up from school. Jianyi catches me before I reach the gate, and his face is all wrong. The Spirit Snake sect hit a school, my sister's school, number 1 primary, the good one, the one Li Royan set up. Demon warriors walked into a building full of children and started carrying them off, because a child with even a flicker of spirit talent makes a convenient offering, and a school, to a monster, is just a warehouse stacked with them. My whole body goes to ice, and then Jianyi says the only words in the language that keep me on my feet. Xiao Li is safe. Li Royan was there, pretending to mark papers, and it turns out a suspended mirror cultivator posing as a school teacher is the single worst thing you can possibly bring a demon abduction to. My sister is fine, but other children weren't, and the toll is bad, and the whole city's locked down and hunting, and Kunlun's been asked to send 10 of its own to join the search. A raid this bold and this organized means a major city power is holding the door open from the inside. Everyone's far too careful to say the name out loud. I already know the name, Liang. And here's the part that tells me precisely what kind of teacher I've signed on with. Wu Kai puts me on the search team, on purpose. A brand new 9th rank disciple dropped straight into a manhunt for demon warriors and the great family standing behind them. Later I'll understand his reasoning, and it's pure Wu Kai. True strength is forged in battle, and he means to use the Spirit Snake sect and the Liang family both as whetstones to sharpen his newest, keenest disciple. He isn't wrong to. I'm just going to sharpen a great deal faster and a great deal bloodier than he's bargained for. That night, before I go hunting monsters, I get a lecture from the scariest school teacher in the world. Li Royan has bought the flat across the hall, at 3 times asking, in cash, without a flicker, which is her idea of a casual flex and my daily reminder that I'm the only broke person left in my own family's building. She confirms what I'd already guessed about the school. It wasn't random. The sect went there to harvest children by the dozen for blood sacrifice, and my sister would have been a bonus prize they'd have wept with joy to grab. Then she tells me the thing I don't want to hear. Don't move on the sect, she says. Not yet. You're strong for a martial artist. 9 down to 7, that's the whole martial artist range, and you're climbing it like it personally insulted you. But the men who run this sect are martial masters. 6th rank. Break past 7th into 6th and you become a different species of creature. And that's the wall almost nobody in a city like this ever crosses. Until you're a martial master, you're a very gifted child bringing a knife to a war. Grow first, then bleed them. It's good advice. I fully intend to ignore the timing of it, because my sister goes to that school, and grow first is a luxury reserved for people whose families aren't already on the menu. The sect, meanwhile, is furious, which is the one bright spot in an otherwise miserable week. Their school operation failed. A cultivator happened to be babysitting the precise building they raided, and now the superiors are breathing down the local hall master's neck because a blood god that doesn't get fed turns unpleasant, and the sacrifice quota is very much not being met. So the hall master goes shopping for a partner, and he finds one in a nervous man in a very nice blue suit, a scion of the Liang family. The Liang man will help, but strictly from the shadows. He's terrified of the Demon Suppression Division's lunatics, and he wants deniability far more than he wants glory. The hall master knows exactly which string to pull. That higher spirit child everyone's chasing, he purrs. Bring her to the god, and the god breaks your limits and hands you your own family. No more bowing to your elders. You would be Liang. The blue suit man wavers, and wavering is just yes with extra steps. He agrees to watch, and to open doors. That's how a great family rots. Not all at once, but one ambitious cousin at a time. The manhunt musters at the city lord's mansion, and it's a room full of people who'd much rather be fighting one another than the sect. The 3 family-owned martial halls are there, and they look at Kunlun the way cats look at a dog that's wandered into the wrong yard. One of them steps up to needle Jianyi, Duan Lin, a personal disciple of the Blood Tiger Martial Hall, which everyone in the room knows perfectly well is a Liang family pet, a detail that becomes extremely funny later given how all this shakes out. Duan Lin and Jinyi have history. The sneering is well rehearsed. I file Duan Lin under will deal with eventually, which by this point is less a list and more a filing cabinet. The city guard commander, Han Bo, 7th rank, one good shove from Martial Master, and clever about it, carves up the city and hands out the assignments, and he plays it flawlessly for himself. The martial halls become the main force that does the dying, and the city guard hangs back as support. Kunlun draws the east district of the outer city, which is, I decline to mention to anyone, my home turf. I grew up in those alleys, and a Kunlun junior named Gao Wei quietly walks me through the who's who as we ride out. That Duan Lin answers to Blood Tiger, that Blood Tiger answers to Liang, that every string in this whole city eventually runs back to the same 3 fists. We reach the East District, 10 of us, solid people, up to 8th rank, Jianyi at 8th peak leading, and everyone stands around waiting for somebody to propose a search grid. Instead, I point us straight at the worst block in the entire district, a rotting warren the locals call Winter Hill, and I say, that one. Because I know this ground in my bones, and I know that if I were a thing that ate children and needed to vanish, that's the exact hole I'd crawl down. Jianyi gives me a long look, then he trusts the slum kid about the slums, and we go. Winter Hill smells like every bad memory I own, and underneath all of it, to senses nobody else on the team has, it smells like something worse. Rot that isn't garbage. The same cold oil reek that came off Lin Hao right before his skin went to scales. Demon warrior. There's one close. I find him propped in a doorway, playing a bored young man, and he's good at it. The others walk right past him, but you cannot fake a scent, and his is wrong. I don't announce myself. I just drive a fist into his chest before he can get a single word of a chant out, pin him to the wall, and ask him where the nest is. He won't say. They're trained not to, and this one's got enough true believer left in him to die quiet, so he does. I don't enjoy it and I don't drag it out. A man who's made up his mind to die gets to, and I've got a whole block to clear. One stroke, and he's the first of a number I'm quietly keeping tonight, because here's my own private agenda, running underneath the team's official one. That second fruit on the tree, the blue one grown off Lin Hao, it's near ripe, and I can feel exactly what feeds it now. Demon warriors. Kill enough of them and the next entry drops. My rough count says I need about 10. The manhunt is, from a certain angle, the universe handing me a shopping list. I fully intend to fill it. 2 robed sect men bolt the instant they feel their lookout die. I go up the side of a 30-story tower after them. Rapid speed makes stairs a suggestion, and I meet them on the roof with the hurricane blade, the real close combat art at last, and it is a different animal entirely from arrows. 2 more down, 3 toward 10. The blue fruit on my tree flushes a shade redder, like it's hungry, and I'm finally feeding it right. Then I feel the fight break out below me, and my stomach drops because I've been so busy filling my own list that I've let the team walk into the actual hive. 17 demon warriors have Jianyi's people cornered in a gutted building, good Kunlun disciples, 8th rank and under, and they are losing because 17 transformed cultists led by a captain who outranks Jianyi isn't a fair fight, it's a slaughter already in progress. I come in through the wall instead of the door, and this is where all those numbers I keep making Xiaoyi wipe off the arrays stop being a secret I hoard and start being a rescue. The captain has a Kunlun Jr. off his feet, about to finish him. He doesn't. I'm between them, and then the captain's the one off his feet. 2 more have Jianyi pinned to a pillar. I take the pillar out from under the whole equation and put both of them down before Jianyi's finished falling. A demon warrior lunges at the wounded kid on the floor, the same kid who screamed compliments I find out later, and I catch the strike on my forearm so it doesn't reach him, and the demon warrior doesn't get a second try. The hurricane blade at perfection, a tier 3 divine weapon, a body throwing punches 2 full realms above its rank. I go through 17 demon warriors the way I went through Lin Hao's courtyard. Except this time, I'm not doing it clean and cold for me. I'm doing it fast and loud for them. Standing over my own people, and it feels completely different, and I file that difference away to think about later. The team stops dying and starts staring. Somewhere in the middle of it, a junior shouts, "Senior brother Lu is a monster," and means it as the highest compliment in the language. Morale, it turns out, flips fast the moment the thing killing your friends switches to your side of the room. The captain's cleverer than his men. When he sees the math turn against him, he doesn't press it. He burns a blood art for a burst of speed and throws himself out a high window. I send an arrow after him, a good one, rapid speed and both intense behind it, and it takes him square in the back and by rights should end him, but he full transforms mid-fall, demon flesh knitting shut over the wound, and hits the ground running, and is gone into the maze of the slums faster than even I can chase through a crowd. The team groans. The captain got away. The captain will warn the nest. I let myself smile, just a little, where none of them can see it, because I let him go. Here's the one thing my father left me, besides a debt and a maxim. A little tin of tracking powder, an old hunter's heirloom, a scent so faint that only a nose like mine can follow it, and it lasts 3 to 5 hours. That arrow I put in the captain's back was never meant to kill him. It was meant to mark him. A wounded captain doesn't hide. He runs home to lick his wounds and sound the alarm, and home is precisely where I want to be taken. I don't give the team the whole plan, just enough of it. We give the captain his head start, and then I follow a trail nobody else alive can smell through the dark of the outer city, and an hour later it brings us to a bar, shuttered, cleared out. The specific kind of too quiet that means the basement is anything but empty. The captain ran straight down a hole, and the hole has a lid, and behind that lid is the nest I've been hunting all night, plus about 6 more names for my list. The team reads the same signs I do, and one of them says it out loud. They know we're coming. They've had time to set up. This is a trap. Good, I say, checking the blood shadow blade. Saves us knocking. And we go down into it. The trap springs the second my boots hit the basement floor. A demon warrior lunges out of the dark, and I cut him down without breaking stride. Call it a doorbell. Then the room fills. 30 more peel out of the walls behind the captain I tracked here, and I think, fine, 30. 30's a Tuesday now. And then the far doors open, and it stops being a Tuesday. 2 men walk in at the head of another 20 or 30 fighters, and neither of them is Spirit Snake Sect. One is Duanlin, Blood Tiger's disciple, Jianyi's needling rival from the muster, grinning like he's already collected the winnings. The other is thin and sharp-eyed and radiates the very specific arrogance of inner-city blood. Kui Jarui, a scion of the Liang family, and just like that, the whole shape of the night rearranges itself in my head. The Liang family and the Blood Tiger Hall are not hunting the Spirit Snake Sect. They're in business with it. We didn't find the nest. The nest sent us an invitation. We've walked into a trap, Jianyi says very quietly, which is senior brother, for we might all die down here. Kuijirui lays the whole thing out, because villains simply cannot help themselves. 10 Kunlun disciples are going to die tonight in a spirit snake sect hideout, and tomorrow the story will be that Kunlun fought the cult bravely and lost. Such a tragedy, and won't the Liang family send lovely flowers? Clean. Deniable. The kind of plan that works if, and only if, everyone in this basement who's meant to die actually dies. 50-odd against 10. The demon warriors come in a wave. I put myself at the front of it, because I'm the only one built to hold a front. A dozen demon warriors pile onto me at once, and I take wounds. 7, 8. I lose the count. Claws and blades opening me up faster than I can close. And here's the ugly little secret I don't share with the team. I let them. Because a technique grows fastest under genuine pressure, and there is no pressure on this earth quite like a room that is actively trying to kill you, and the hurricane blade is climbing with every cut I take and every cut I give back. I'm bleeding on purpose. I'm the worst kind of student, the kind who treats a massacre as a study session. Behind me, Xianxia gets pinned down by Duanlin and Kuijirui working him together, can't break free to reach us, and one by one the juniors begin to fall. 5 of the 10 go down, not dead yet, but down, and down turns into dead very quickly in a room like this one. I can feel the whole fight tipping into the red, into the place where good people I wrote out here beside stop going home to anyone. And that is the exact place my tree loves best. One breath from losing, blood running into my eyes, the hurricane blade at perfection shrieking against its own ceiling, and the ceiling gives, annihilating wind. The blade stops being a thing that cuts the air and becomes a thing that calls the wind, that reaches out and closes a fist around the actual power of heaven and earth and drives it behind the edge. My speed doubles, my cutting doubles. The world goes sharp and slow and entirely mine. I turn the whole room around in about 10 seconds. But the first thing I do with it, before Duanlin, before Kuijirui, before revenge, is carve a path to the 5 juniors bleeding on the floor and stand over them until they can get their own feet back under them. Because Wu Kai handed me a team, and I am not walking out of a basement lighter than I walked into it if there's any way on earth to help it. The demon warriors that were a wave a minute ago are just a list now, and I have gotten very, very fast at lists. Duanlin stops grinning right about the time I reach him. He came here to watch Kunlun die from a safe distance, and safe distance is a thing I've spent my whole life learning how to erase. One clash, the blood shadow blade against whatever fine sword the blood tiger Hall handed him, and his weapon comes apart like it was never serious to begin with, and my backswing takes his arm, and Duanlin goes from smug to screaming in the space of a single heartbeat. He was Jianyi's rival for years. He is nobody's rival now. I don't gloat over it. I just finish it and move on, because Kuijirui is already running. Kuijirui does the thing his whole class does the instant a plan goes sideways. He abandons his partner and bolts, shouting something about fetching reinforcements, which is inner city for save myself. I go after him, because a Liang who saw my face and lives is a Liang who eventually tells the family who killed their heir out at the valley and their scion in this basement, and I have had entirely enough of great families doing arithmetic about me. I corner him in a dead-end alley, the kind of place I know in my sleep because I grew up ducking down them. There's no speech left in him by then, just the sputtering disbelief of a man who was untouchable an hour ago. I pin him to the brick and I end it, clean, and then a cold thought lands before he's even finished falling. The watch. His watch. If it saw me, if it sent anything, then killing him only made the picture worth more. I strip it off his wrist and run back toward the bar with a fresh worry stacked on top of all the old ones, because that's the standing deal with me. Every problem I solve with a blade sprouts 2 more that I can't. Back in the basement, the fight's already over. The captain, the one I tracked here, the one I marked, the one who's down to a single arm now, just like his employer, is the last thing still breathing that shouldn't be. I make it so he isn't. Number 10, and the tree, which has waited out the whole night with the patience of a landlord on rent day, collects. The blue fruit on the second branch goes ripe all at once, cracks open, and the second entry unfolds across my vision. And it takes real effort not to whoop out loud, because the gift is enormous, and the timing is, frankly, obscene. All rivers run into the sea. I can now devour malevolent energy, any of it, all of it, without fear, and turn it straight into pure fuel. Which means the thing I've been doing so carefully, so expensively, one refined pill at a time, I can now do by simply eating the monster. Beast flesh, crystal cores, raw, the demon cores that are worth 100 ordinary ones and that no normal martial artist can digest without cooking himself hollow from the inside, those I can swallow whole and grow on. Every vicious beast in Python Mountain just turned into a snack. Every core in every pouch just stopped being a paycheck and started being a meal. Let me put it in the terms that actually matter to me. My entire life, my one real problem was fuel, a furnace of a body and never ever enough coal to feed it. I have just been handed a cheat that turns the whole monstrous world into an all-you-can-eat buffet, told the buffet never closes, and handed a fork. That appetite that doubled my grocery bill and genuinely frightened an honest butcher? Turns out it was never a curse. It was a preview. We carry our dead out ourselves, 5 of them. We could move faster without the weight, and every one of us chooses the weight without a word about it, because you bring Kunlun's people home to Kunlun's families, and also, riding under the human reason, the ugly practical one, Kuijiarui's watch might have caught the basement, and 5 of our own laid out in a sect nest muddies whatever story a picture could try to tell. Grief and tradecraft carried out on the same shoulders. That's the job, apparently. The new entry, meanwhile, gets quietly to work under my skin, all rivers, tempering me for weeks off everything I devoured tonight, my whole body leveling up in slow motion while I walk home under a dead man's weight. By morning, the city is on fire with it. Kuijiarui, scion of a great family, dead in a slum, 3 arrows, no witnesses. The Liang family goes berserk and floods the outer city with searchers, turning over every rock, offering the kind of money that could remake a poor man's whole life in exchange for a single name. They don't get a name, and here's why I keep breathing. The low-grade watches their people carry can't punch through a fight in a sealed basement any better than Wang Qingshan's could punch through Python Mountain. No clean image, no face, just a hole where an heir used to be. The second hole I've now dug in a great family, and the second time the exact same mercy of cheap technology has saved my life. I make myself a quiet, permanent rule. Always know what kind of watch is looking at me. The team agrees it's time to be home before somebody gets clever. Home means one last stop, and it's an ambush of a different flavor. At the City Lord's mansion, Commander Han Bo, the man who so carefully arranged for other people to do the dying, takes one look at Kunlun walking back in alive, when the plan so plainly called for the opposite, and decides to bury us in paperwork instead. He accuses us of desertion. 10 disciples, he says, broke off from the coordinated search, went rogue, got people killed. Now, a month ago, I'd have let Jian Yi handle the room. But I've turned up a second talent besides archery, and it's this. I stay very calm when powerful people try to rattle me, because I grew up surrounded by powerful people trying to rattle me. So I answer him myself, evenly, in front of everyone. Our orders were to search and to kill sect. We searched. We killed 12 of them, plus a captain, plus we turned up an entire hideout, which is rather more than desertion usually manages. And then, while he's still deciding whether to get angrier, I mention, mildly, pleasantly, that the Demon Suppression Division and the Suspended Mirror Division have both taken a keen interest lately in certain inner-city families cooperating with the sect, and that a commander as thorough as himself would surely want to be seen standing on the right side of that particular investigation. I'm not even lying. Feng Li is Demon Suppression. Li Ruoyan is Suspended Mirror. They are, broadly speaking, interested. I simply leave a gap and let Hanbo's guilty conscience rush in to fill it, and I watch the color drain out of his face as it does. He lets us walk. Then he sits there hating me with the pure personal heat of a man who's just been beaten in his own hall by a kid whose name he doesn't even have yet, and swears silently to get it. Into the cabinet he goes. We get back to Kunlun to find Kunlun wrecked. Walls blown open, disciples hurt, the whole hall shaken. Masked professionals struck it while we were out playing bait in a basement. A coordinated hit, timed precisely to our absence. Wu Kai is unhurt. He's 7th rank, and he threw them out himself, but the message is impossible to misread. He reads it in a heartbeat. The way he reads everything. The Liang family, silencing his investigation into their sect ties, warning Kunlun to keep its nose down. He also, when he pulls me aside, tells me a thing that turns my skin cold. They'll suspect you eventually, he says. A new disciple present at every disaster and walking out of every one of them. I can't hide a pattern like that forever. He kept me out of the meeting where the strategy got set deliberately to keep my name off the page as long as he possibly could. He's protecting me the way he does everything, 3 moves ahead, and without ever asking whether I'd like him to. His answer to the Liang family is pure Wu Kai, measured, not war, a warning. He orders Jian Yi to raid the Blood Tiger Hall, the Liang family's pet, hit it just hard enough to say we know, and then he settles in to grind the great family down slowly, patiently, the way you wear down a mountain instead of trying to punch a hole through it. And me, I go to room 007 to burn off the adrenaline, and I make my usual mistake, which is being honest with the array when I'm sure nobody's watching. 200,000 jin, 39 strikes a second, movement just under 300 meters a second, numbers that do not belong to a 9th rank anything. I have Xiao Yi wipe the log, same as always. What I don't know, what I only find out much later, and it explains a great many of the looks he gives me, is that as my master, Wu Kai can see those arrays before I scrub them. He is standing in his own study, watching his brand new, officially 9th rank disciple post numbers that put most of the 8th rank to shame, and the great Wu Kai, almost always the smartest and calmest man in any room, quietly loses the ability to form words. Somewhere on this mountain, my teacher is having a small private crisis about me. I'm going to keep handing him those for a very long time, and every time, without fail, he'll wait for me to leave the room before he has it, and I'll pretend not to know, and we'll both go on protecting each other from the same enormous secret, which is that a slum kid he took a chance on is quietly turning into something with no ceiling at all. The next morning, I go back to Python Mountain to try out my new fork. The first course is a blood tiger, tier 2, a clear step up from anything I used to hunt, dead from a single arrow through the eye before it finishes its lunge. Then, instead of cutting the core out to sell, I pry it loose and I eat it. I want to describe what that's like because it's honestly one of the strangest sensations of my whole life. A crystal core is packed with the kind of savage, malevolent energy that would poison an ordinary martial artist into a puddle on the floor. To me now, it goes down like the most concentrated meal ever made. My entire body becomes a vortex, all rivers doing exactly what it promised, melting the venom into clean fuel, pouring it straight into the 5-element skin refining, and I feel my skin shift, bronze deepening toward jade in the time it takes to swallow one rock. Half-step ice skin, just like that. No shop, no pills, no paycheck spent. I confirmed the thing I first suspected down in that basement. This entry isn't a discount on cultivation, it's the end of the price tag altogether, so I go shopping the only way I can shop now, which is with my mouth. I push deeper than yesterday, and I eat my way clean through the mid-mountain, 17 cores, 7 of them tier 2, a feast that would have dropped a whole squad of martial artists where they stood and merely leaves me pleasantly full. Somewhere around the 15th, the 5-element skin refining rams into its ceiling and punches straight through, and the entry that drops is the biggest change to my actual body I've ever felt. The 5-element spirit body. My physique leaps to somewhere between 10 and 100 times a normal person's, and more important than the raw strength, I can suddenly feel the 5 elements in everything around me, metal and wood and water and fire and earth humming through the world like colors I didn't have eyes for yesterday. My cultivation crosses into ice skin, a full realm above copper, and I'm left standing exactly one step from the 8th rank, from bone tempering, from leaving behind the entire martial artist range I started in. A season ago, I ate bare gallbladder off my bedroom floor and thought I was really getting somewhere. Now I eat monsters and grow a whole new kind of body. The tree does not do moderation, and then, gorged and glowing and briefly feeling invincible, I walk straight into a wall that isn't there. There's a line across Python Mountain, somewhere near the middle, and my new senses hit it like a flat hand laid against my chest. Nothing to see. Everything to feel, a pressure, an attention, an old and patient dread that says, without any words at all, not one step further, little thing. I've heard the legends since I was a kid, that the far side of Python Mountain is another world, that something terrible sleeps at its heart, that 99 of every 100 who cross the middle never come back out. I always filed it under stories the poor tell each other to explain why the good hunting sits behind a wall of dead men. Standing on that invisible line with a body 10 times stronger than yesterday's, I stop filing it under stories. Whatever waits past the middle of this mountain is bigger than me, bigger than Wu Kai maybe, and it has just felt me feeling it. So I shoulder my full pack and I do the single smartest thing I do all week. I turn around and walk away. Some doors you don't open until you're the scariest thing standing on either side of them. I'm not, yet. Yet is a word I've grown enormously fond of. I'm almost off the mountain when I hear screaming, and the screaming belongs to the exact group I swore I'd never lay eyes on again. Remember the pretty inner-city school team from the city gate, the number. One Marshall High kids, all high numbers and easy confidence, out for field experience? Field experience found them. Down in a valley, 17 of them, 14 teenagers who've plainly never faced anything that hit back, and 3 8th-rank teachers, pinned by 31 rock wolves and a rock wolf king, a half-step tier 3 beast the size of a bus. And here's the detail that settles it for me. The 3 teachers are about to run, grab their own hides and leave 14 kids to be eaten, because the children's famous families are very far away and the teeth are very close. I did warn you, I'm frequently wrong about never seeing people again. I just didn't expect to be this annoyed about being right. So I go to work from the cliff, which is where I'm always at my best. 30 arrows and not very long, the whole wolf pack, one throat, one skull at a time, the panic in the herd doing half my job for me the way it did back in the Fruit Valley. The king's the hard part. A half-step tier 3 hide turns my first few shafts, so I cripple it instead, take a knee and an eye, and then, because I'm feeling generous, I let the 3 teachers who were about to abandon their students help me finish it off so they'll have something decent to tell themselves on the ride home. The kids live, the teachers keep their story. Everybody wins, especially me, because the tree sprouts a 3rd bud on the spot. A 3rd entry, brewing, slower and stingier than the last two because the tree has gotten expensive in its old age. I harvest the Wolf King's core, near tier 3, far too rich to eat anywhere people can watch me do it, and I finally notice what the wolves were really gathered here for. My spirit body feels it before my head catches up. A cold, pure current of water element energy welling up out of a bottomless pool in the corner of the valley. Beasts collect wherever power surfaces. Something down there is ringing a bell only they and I can hear. So I dive. 2,000 meters down into water so cold and so heavy it makes even my ridiculous new body bleed at the seams, and at the bottom, half buried in the dark, 13 deep blue crystals humming with the purest water key I've ever touched. I've got no idea what they are. I only know my whole spirit body lunges toward them, so I take all 13 and kick for the surface before the pressure can finish the argument. I come up into a problem with a face. The students recognize what I'm holding before I do. Water attribute spirit stones, tens of millions apiece, the kind of treasure that's less purchased than fought over, hoarded by powers that make the Chen family look like a corner shop. I have just saved these kids' lives, and one of them, a soft-handed young master still glowing with the confidence of a boy who has never once been told no, looks at 13 fortunes in my hands and decides I owe him a cut. Threatens me over it, actually. Informs me I won't be able to set foot in Fingal City if I don't share. I have killed a demon and eaten a mountain this month. I look at this child, and for one honest second, I genuinely weigh adding him to the day's list, and he sees it. Sees something in my face that his tutors never once showed him, and goes gray. The white-haired teacher I just did a favor for nearly snaps his own spine, bowing, hauls the boy back by his collar, apologizes for a solid minute straight. I let it go. I tell all of them, very quietly, that they were never here, and neither was I, and I leave. But I mark the young master's face on my way out because a humiliated rich boy is a grudge with an allowance, and I've collected a few of those by now. Into the cabinet, kid. Feng Li nearly swallows his own tongue when I pour 13 water spirit stones and a near tier 3 wolf core out onto his counter. You, he says, are a 9th rank martial artist. I have your paperwork right here. 9th rank martial artists do not kill things that leave near tier 3 cores, and they most certainly do not casually produce spirit stones that inner city princes murder each other over. What are you? Then, because he's Feng Li, he pays me 40 million and keeps right on talking, and the talking is the part I actually came for. He walks me up the ladder again, further this time. 9th to 8th to 7th, that's the whole martial artist range, the one I'm about to top out of. And then the wall, 6th rank, blood exchange, martial master, the exact thing Li Royan told me I'd have to become before I could ever touch the sect's leadership. There is not one openly acknowledged martial master in all of Fangal because the technique to cross that wall is locked up by the top powers and the state, and one power in particular has more of everything than anybody. The Demon Suppression Division, state-backed, bottomless resources, real techniques, the road to martial master, and everything past it. I've been circling this for weeks, and I'm finished circling. All right, I tell him, I want in. The division. What do you need me to do to get there? Feng Li smiles the smile of a man who has been patiently waiting for you to ask the exact question he baited an hour ago. Funny you should mention it, he says. There's one small thing. The one small thing is a name. Gao Meifan. Eldest wife of the Chen family chief, Feng Li says, and something old and cold moves behind his eyes as he says it. Some buried grief he doesn't explain and I don't go digging for. I want her dead. I can't touch her myself. My position, my face, it's complicated. But you, and here he stops being my friendly core buyer entirely, you already went to war with the Chen family the day you put an arrow through Wang Qingshan out in that valley. I go very still. He watches me go still, and he doesn't gloat about it. Yeah, he says gently. I know. Your cleanup was good, kid, but it wasn't perfect, and I found the loose threads before anyone else did, and then I cut them, so nobody else ever will. You're welcome. It's the softest blackmail I've ever been handed. He isn't threatening me. He's showing me he could have, and chose to shield me instead, and now he's asking a favor between two people who each hold something that could bury the other. Kill Gao Meifan, and my recommendation to the division is yours, and you get to hurt the Chen family in the bargain, which, unless I've badly misjudged you, you'll consider a perk. I already hate the Chen family. I already want the division. He's pointed me at a target I'd have chosen for myself. Done, I say. He pays me another 40 million on top of it, because Feng Li always sweetens a thing he genuinely needs. I take the money and the name both, but first, bones. I bring the Wolf King's near tier 3 core to room 007 and I eat it in private, and all rivers pours it straight down through me, and at last my inner strength sinks past skin and into the marrow. 8th rank, bone tempering, beginner. A whole new realm. I hit the array once just to know, 304,000 Jin, 51 strikes a second, 320 meters a second, Then I wipe it, because of course I do. I do notice something honest buried in those numbers though, and I don't much like it. My body is a legend, and my skills are still a hobbyist's. Raw power has been carrying me the whole way, but the men above me own real martial arts. Layered, deep, decades thick. And if I ever run into a thing my strength can't simply shove out of the way, my thin little shelf of skills is exactly where I'll die. I need more arts, and better ones. And I need them soon. It goes on the list, right near the top, where the things that can actually kill me live, which is precisely when I notice that Kunlun is wrong. The mountain's too quiet, the same way my home was too quiet the night they took my sister, that specific silence that means the people who ought to be here are somewhere they very much shouldn't be. Then the doors bang open and bloody juniors stagger through them, and the story comes out in broken pieces. Wu Kai went and took his measured payback tonight, led the raid on the Blood Tiger Hall himself, and walked straight into a counter trap. The Liang family, the Blood Tiger Hall, and the Spirit Snake sect, all three, lying in wait for him. My master Jian Yi, 20 of Kunlun's best, surrounded, sealed inside Blood Tiger Hall, right now, dying by inches. Wu Kai built his entire strategy on being 3 moves ahead of everyone. Somebody finally read him and said a fourth. I don't stay to hear the rest of the report. I send a junior sprinting to sound the alarm. I fire off a single message to Feng Li, and then I run, 320 meters a second, the whole city smearing past me, because the man who took a slum kid for his disciple and put himself between me and the world is trapped in a tower across town, and I am completely done being the disciple he keeps carefully out of the room. Blood Tiger Hall is a tower built in the shape of a tiger's head, and it's sealed up tight with 100 guards on the doors, and I do not have time for 100 guards. I fire off one more message to Feng Li on my way in. The Spirit Snake sect is at Blood Tiger Hall. Will the Demon Suppression Division be joining us this evening or not? And then I stop typing and start cutting. The gate guards are 8th rank and under. I go through them the way a door goes through a paper screen, up the tower, floor by floor, chasing the sound of the fight all the way to the top. The 9th floor is where they've got my master cornered. It's bad. Wu Kai and his 20 are backed into the Great Hall, bleeding, holding, and 3 separate powers are grinding them down. Sun Zhiqiang, master of the Blood Tiger Hall, 7th rank peak on his own home ground. Kui Yan, head of the Liang family itself, 7th rank. And a black-robed sect elder, 7th rank, the real hand that set the whole trap. 3 7th rank monsters against 1 wounded Wu Kai. And when he sees me come through the door, my careful 3 moves ahead master does a thing I have never once seen him do. He panics. Wenji, run. Get out, this isn't. Kui Yan doesn't waste the opening. He sends his pets at me, the Liu twin snakes, a matched pair of sect assassins who between the 2 of them beat Jian Yi bloody earlier tonight. They come at me from 2 angles at once, fast, coordinated, lethal, the exact kind of tag team that's ended a lot of better men than me. They are not faster than me though, almost nothing is faster than me anymore. I don't even break stride. I go straight between them, 1 pass, Blood Shadow Blade out and back, and the Liu twin snakes come apart behind me before either one lands a blow. 2 of the sect's prized killers, gone in the time it takes to cross a doorway. The whole hall, my side and theirs both, goes silent for half a second, everyone recalculating at once. That's the thing about a room full of 7th rank experts. They've spent so many years being the fastest thing in every room they walk into that they've forgotten what to do when something faster walks in, wearing cheap boots. Then Sun Zhiqiang decides to deal with me personally, and I learn the hard lesson of the night. A 7th rank is not an 8th I can bully. He's a wall in a way I'm simply not ready for. Over 400,000 Jin behind a single strike, real organ-forging power, and when we clash, he does not fly backward. I do. I hit the far wall hard enough to rearrange my ribs, and I understand, coughing blood down my chin, that all my freakish growth has a ceiling after all, and the ceiling has a name, and the name is 7th rank, and I cannot punch through it. Not yet. Not alone. Good thing I didn't come here to do this alone. Feng Li comes through a 9th floor window like a thrown spear, and he is not holding a ledger. He blocks Sun Zhiqiang's follow-up on one forearm, and the shock of the 2 of them meeting blows out every remaining window on the floor, and my gossipy, biscuit-pushing, 40 million paying core buyer stands revealed as exactly what he's been the whole time, 7th rank, a genuine powerhouse wearing a shopkeeper as a coat, and the instant he does, the whole fight tips over. Wu Kai, freed from 3-on-1, pins the Liang head and the sect elder between himself and Feng Li, which leaves the entire rest of the room, the 8th rank and 9th rank mob, the dozens of Blood Tiger and sect fighters who've been grinding Kunlun down all night, to me. And below 7th rank, in a room I'm finally allowed to cut loose in, with my master watching, I am the single most dangerous thing standing on the floor. So I stop holding back, and the room learns what that costs. I go left first, where the Kunlun juniors are penned in a corner, and I open the wall between them and the mob in 1 pass of the hurricane blade. Turn. A Blood Tiger swordsman lunges. I'm already behind him. 2 more from the stairwell. I meet them at the door and they don't get through it. Someone throws a talisman and I'm not where it lands. An 8th rank captain thinks his rank means something in this room and finds out, at the very end, exactly how much. I don't fight them so much as move through them, a straight line from the corner where my people are dying to the center of the floor where the fight is, and the line does not stop for anyone standing on it. Movement, and then a gap where a man was. Movement, and another. They came here to watch Kunlun get ground into a report, and now they're scattering from a 19-year-old they can't lay a hand on, shouting a word up the stairs that I catch on my way past. Monster. The same word the juniors screamed as a compliment in that basement, spat now as a prayer. 4 out of every 5 bodies that drop on that floor in the next few minutes drop because of me. I make sure my master sees all of it. He gave me a road. I want him to know what he built on it. Feng Li and Sun Zhiqiang in front of everyone, and he does it the way you close up a shop for the night. One motion, no drama, the master of the Blood Tiger Hall dead on his own floor. Then he says it out loud, for the whole room, so there's no more pretending. He's a demon slayer guard of the Demon Suppression Division, not a shopkeeper who dabbles. The genuine article, badge and all, standing in a slum shop this whole time weighing my beast cores and quietly deciding what I was. That leaves the sect elder, and Wu Kai's carrying that one, but even a 7th rank master needs a hand when the thing across from him stops pretending to be a person. The elder demon transforms, and I do the thing I'm best at. I take his arms off from across the room. 2 arrows, both shoulders, the same trick I used on Zhao Guang a whole lifetime ago. And while the demon's reeling and armless, Wu Kai drives through the opening, and I put a last arrow through its skull to close the account. The tree drinks deep. A 7th rank demon is a feast, and the 3rd branch, which has been a stubborn little bud for weeks, shoots out into a real twig, the 3rd entry visibly closer. Even now, even here, ankle deep in the worst night of a lot of people's lives, some greedy corner of me is still keeping the books. Kui Yan, head of the Liang family, watches the whole thing collapse and does the thing the powerful always do. He runs. Out a window into open air, betting it all on a head start. Feng Li is already there. He cuts off the Liang head's escape in midair, and Kui Yan plays the very last card his kind ever holds. He invokes blood. We're kin, he snarls. The 3 great families are one blood. You can't. And Feng Li looks at him with something colder than hatred, which is indifference, and says, I'm a demon slayer guard. Blood doesn't matter to me. You climbed into bed with a demon cult. Colluders die. And he swats the head of a great family out of the sky like a man brushing down a cobweb. Kui Yan falls straight into my line. I've already got an arrow drawn. I've been at war with great families since a valley full of dead beasts, and here's the head of one, tumbling through the air with his backing stripped off him and his soul already shaken loose from watching a demon die, and I put a single heart-piercing arrow through him before he ever reaches the ground. The head of the Liang family, dead by a slum kid's arrow. 2 great families have bled because of me now, and only one of them ever even learned my name. When it's over, Feng Li finds me in the wreckage, and he doesn't congratulate me. He warns me. The Liang family wasn't the top of this, he says, wiping his hands. They were a limb. Somebody smarter is running the sect in this city, and tonight told them precisely how dangerous you are. Lie low. Cultivate. Don't give them a face to hunt. Then he tells me what the division will do next. Pull the thread all the way out. The Liang family, a great house, 1,000 years of name, is finished, and by morning, the Demon Suppression Division will make it official, root and branch, for the crime of feeding children to a snake god. I feel precisely nothing about that. Some houses earn the fire. Wu Kai, once the dust settles, does the thing that matters most to me, which isn't the thanks, though he gives me those too. He teaches me. You keep growing faster than anyone can teach, he says, and there's pride buried under the exhaustion. Your body's a marvel, and your skills are thin. You noticed that yourself, didn't you? Good. He hands me an art aimed at the exact gap I flagged for myself, the 5 beast body tempering skill. High grade, 3 layers deep, skin, then bone, then organ, and here's the line that makes my pulse jump. Master the 3rd layer completely, and you earn a real shot at breaking the 6th rank, at becoming a martial master. At the wall, Li Royan told me I had to climb before I could ever lay a hand on the people who send men to schools full of children. He gives me the first 2 layers and tells me to go earn the 3rd. I take it the way I took the fruit because that's what it is, a door, disguised as a folder. A month ago, the words martial master were a thing that happened to other people, in stories, behind walls I'd never see the far side of. Tonight my own master just put the map to it in my hands and told me to walk. The 5 beast skill has 108 forms, and I learn them the way I learn everything now, which is by looking at them once. My mental energy went from awakened to frankly inconvenient somewhere back on that leopard's mountain, and these days a technique that's supposed to cost a student a whole season to memorize takes me about as long as reading a menu. But it's the lore Wu Kai drops next that reroutes my ambition for good. I thought the top of the world was the great families. It isn't. Above the 7 great powers of the human realm, he tells me, quietly, like it's the kind of secret you can get killed for knowing, because it might be, sit 2 academies, not schools, the academies. The true apex of humanity, hidden away from ordinary people, where the very best of an entire generation are gathered and honed for a war I don't fully understand yet, against enemies I haven't met yet. And in 1 year, both of them hold their entrance exams. The bar to so much as sit the exam is 7th rank, Wu Kai says. My honest hope for you was that you'd one day place in the global top 100,000, 1 in 1,000, a number Fengal City hasn't produced in 10 years. That alone would bring the top powers to your door. He looks at me the way a man looks at a horse that just cleared a fence he'd built to be uncrossable. I set that bar a month ago. I'm no longer sure it's high enough. Top 100,000, an academy. A month ago, my ceiling was don't let a thug take my sister. Now my own master is squinting up at the actual roof of the world and wondering out loud whether I'll punch through it. I decide right there on the spot that I will. Then he hands me 10 bone-tempering pills, 5 million each, monopoly goods, the kind of treasure people kill for, like their party favors, and tells me to go grow. By the next morning, the city has a fresh nightmare and a fresh hole in its skyline. The Demon Suppression Division, with Feng Li at the front and the city guard at his back, does exactly what he promised. The Liang family is erased, root and branch, a 1,000-year name gone in a single night, and the Blood Tiger Hall goes down with it. The whole inner city reels. Great families are supposed to be forever. Turns out forever comes with a demon suppression clause. And in a dark room I still haven't seen, the thing that's actually been running the sect in this city takes the loss and does not panic. The Divine Envoy, a figure in Python-scale robes the smart hand Feng Li warned me about, has just lost a great family and a martial hall in one night and simply reprioritizes. The blood sacrifice still has to happen. The god still has to be fed. And the rarest soul in the city is still that one little girl. Only now the envoy has learned the same lesson everyone eventually learns about my family. The road to the girl runs straight through me. So he assigns a specialist, a hunter called Fan Jian, one single job. Get past the brother, take the sister. I don't hear the order given, I'm just going to feel it land. While the envoy sharpens a knife for my family, I do the one thing that has ever actually kept my family safe, which is get stronger at a speed that isn't decent. Those 10 bone-tempering pills would cost an ordinary 8th rank a month apiece to digest. 1 pill, 30 days, that's the going rate. All Rivers lets me put away 1 a day and keep it down like breakfast. 10 days, 10 pills, and I climb to 8th rank bone-tempering middle, a straight punch cresting 400,000 jin. I can feel the 7th rank now, not as a rumor, but as a slope I'm already walking up. And past 7th, the 6th, the martial master wall. And past that, I let myself think it, alone in room 007, with Xiao Yi dutifully scrubbing my numbers behind me, an academy, and whatever a boy from a dying tower turns into when he finally stops having a ceiling at all. Feng Li calls in the favor 8 days later, and the call is short. Gao Meifan, Yunlan Palace tonight, 8 o'clock. She'll have one aide with her, Qin Feng, half-step 7th rank, so don't get queued up close. You'll have a 5-minute window before Chen family reinforcements can reach her. 5 minutes, kid, use fewer. Then he hangs up because Feng Li doesn't say good luck. He says the plan and trusts you to be the luck yourself. So at 8 o'clock, I'm flat on the roof of a tower a full kilometer from Yunlan Palace, wind shadow bow strung, watching a beautiful woman in expensive clothes take her tea on a balcony like the world belongs to her, which, as eldest wife of the Chen family chief, it more or less does. A kilometer is nothing to me now. I've made this shot on a wolf. I can make it on a woman who put children in the ground to keep her family strong. I take Qin Feng first, the aide, the half-step 7th, the only one on that balcony who could stop what comes next. One blood shadow arrow across a kilometer of night, and the bodyguard drops before he knows he's in a fight. And the same arrow, barely slowed, carries on into Gao Meifan and takes her clean through the heart. That should be the whole story. Arrow, heart, done. Home by 9. It is not the whole story. Because a black mist boils up out of the wound the instant the arrow lands, wraps the hole, and closes it, and Gao Meifan stands up off her own murder, whole, and turns her head, and looks across a full kilometer of dark straight into my eyes like the distance is a technicality. No human heals a heart shot. No human finds a sniper a kilometer off by feel alone. She isn't the Chen Chief's wife who dabbles in evil. She's something wearing the Chen Chief's wife, and it has just gotten a good look at my face, and it smiles at me. I've been marked by a demon, so I do the smart thing and the cowardly thing, which tonight happened to be the same thing. I run, and I do not run home. I run to the outer city, to Feng Li, because whatever she is, I am not leading it back to a flat where my mother sleeps. I show him the recording, the good watch, the one that actually works, catching every second of a heart shot that simply didn't take. And I watch the demon slayer in him go quiet and grim. A symbiont, he says at last. A demon riding a person, wearing her like a coat. That's Gao Meifan. That's been Gao Meifan for who knows how long. And then the pieces start moving behind his eyes, years of them at once. Every quiet disappearance in the Chen family, every relative who went missing and got mourned and got explained away. A demon sitting at the head of a great house doesn't need a cult to feed it. It just needs a family and patience. He won't move on her fast, and he tells me why, and I hate how sound it is. Demons come in nests, he says. Kill her tonight, Sloppy, and any others she's already seeded scatter, and we lose the whole rot instead of pulling it clean. I need to know how deep she's grown into the Chen family first. Then he looks at me, a little apologetic and not remotely sorry, and lays out the part I'm going to like even less. She's marked you. That makes you bait. Go out into the wild, let her send her people after you, and let me watch how they move and how strong she really is before I commit. You'll be safe-ish. I'll be nearby. Safe-ish. From a demon that healed a heart shot and smiled at me across a kilometer of night. I look at the man who has done nothing but arm me and aim me since the day we met, and I think about my sister's beacon of a soul and my mother's window that opens, and I say fine. Because the only alternative is sitting at home waiting for the demon to pick the moment, and I have never once in my life let the other side pick the moment. Being bait, it turns out, means walking into Python Mountain alone and looking edible, so that's what I do. It doesn't take long. The mountain goes wrong around me, a poison miasma rolling in where there wasn't one a minute ago, and then snakes, thousands of them, pouring up out of the ground in a living tide, and worst of all, my own sense of direction starts telling me lies. Paths bend, landmarks slide. I'm walking deeper into the mountain while every instinct I've got swears I'm walking out, and that's when I understand I'm not fighting an animal. This is a demon monster. A soldier rank thing, roughly early 7th, that fights with the mind instead of the body, and against most men below 7th, that's simply a death sentence, because you cannot cut an illusion. Except my mental power isn't most men's. It woke up on a leopard's mountain, and it's been eating cores ever since, and when the illusion tries to close over me, I feel the wrongness of it like a hair caught in my mouth, and I bite down, literally, blood on my tongue, pain to anchor me to what's real, and the false paths shatter like glass. I can't kill the thing yet. But I can see it now, and seeing it is enough to stay alive until the cavalry arrives. The cavalry is one fat demon slayer with a fistful of paper. Feng Li drops out of nowhere with cultivator talismans, actual talismans, slips of marked paper that burst into real fire and a net of light when he flings them, and he burns the snake tide down to nothing and pins the demon monster in a cage of glowing threads like he's wrapping a present. I've been out here killing things with a bow and a blade like a caveman. He's throwing spells. The distance between what I can do and what the division could hand me just got extremely concrete. Afterward, he explains two things, and both of them are recruiting pitches wearing lab coats. First, mental power has tiers, the same as everything else, and mine, high-level mortal, the panel calls it, is absurd for my rank, high enough that I shrugged off an illusion that eats 7th rank martial artists whole. He says it the way a man appraises a gem he intends to buy before you find out what it's worth. Second, he shows off his toys, a demon capturing gourd and a demon binding net, tier 4 special divine weapons, the sort of gear that catches a demon instead of merely killing it. Division issue, free to members, the kind of thing you cannot buy at any price on the outside. He lets me hold the gourd. He watches me want it. Then he tells me to stay off Python Mountain and changes the subject every single time I ask what's actually in the middle of it, which only makes me more certain the answer is something the division doesn't say out loud. Meanwhile, Gao Meifan, patient old demon that she is, doesn't wait for the wild to do her work for her. She reaches into the Chen family's deep bench and pulls out a young killer with orders about me that are refreshingly direct. Dead within 3 days, and keep it clean. I don't know he's coming. I'm about to. And Feng Li, for all that he'll arm me and aim me and dangle me out as bait, draws one firm line. He will not bring me inside the Demon Suppression Division's headquarters to help ring the captured demon monster for answers, members only, which lands like a dare whether he means it that way or not. There's a door, and everything I want is on the far side of it, and the price of the key is a rank I don't have yet. Yet. That word again. I go home to grind, and to wait for a killer whose name I don't even know. The killer catches me on the road to Kunlun, and he opens by using my own trick against me, an illusion. A ghost wall drops over the world. I'm still standing in the outer city ruins, but suddenly I'm nowhere. Gray fog in every direction, no up, no out. The exact mental attack playbook I just barely survived on the mountain. But I've had practice since then. Blood on the tongue, a spike of real pain to hold on to, and the fog tears open. And there he is, Zhao Kun, a collateral branch of the Chen family, one of their celebrated geniuses, a man who supposedly reached 7th rank a year ago, Gao Meifin's 3-day errand boy come to collect. I catch the lie on him at once because I can smell it now, that cold oil demon reek riding under the Chen family perfume. His genius, his sudden 7th rank, none of it was talent. He sold something to a demon for it, same as Lin Hao, same as every last one of them. The Chen family isn't rotten in one spot. It's rotten the way fruit goes rotten, all the way through, from a single seed at the center with a name, Gao Meifin. He's confident, which has been the last mistake of a great many men I've met. He thinks 7th rank makes him untouchable to an 8th. He hasn't heard that this particular 8th punches like a 7th and eats demons for the iron in his diet. Our first real exchange, my blade against his demon-forged gauntlet, and I shatter the gauntlet and the arm inside it, and I watch his confidence quietly reschedule itself as panic. So he does the thing they always do when the human tricks run dry. He drops the disguise altogether and becomes a 10-meter python, all coils and corruption. Bigger, stronger, regenerating. And here's what I've learned about my own body in the weeks between Lin Hao and now. I've been working out the sub-tiers of my realm, the iron and silver and gold grades of bone tempering that everyone else climbs one painful rung at a time, and my 5-element spirit body means I don't climb them, I skip them. I'm harder to hurt than anything at my rank has any right to be. I drive my strongest slash, 300 tons behind the hurricane blade, through the base of the python's coils and take its tail clean off. While it's still screaming, I try a thing I've been building in my head for weeks. A glide, light as a crane, up and over its guard, and at the top of the arc, I loose 36 blood shadow arrows at once, a falling curtain of them straight down into the thing's skull. Zhao Kun comes apart under the volley and does not manage to put himself back together. One more Chen in the ground, one more errand Gao Meifin is going to have to run herself. I've barely finished with Zhao Kun when Wu Kai walks out of the ruins toward me, calm as ever, and every hair on my body stands straight up, because it's wrong. The walk is right, the face is right, the voice when he says my name is right, but my mental sense, the thing that saved my life 3 times now, is screaming that the man in front of me is a hole shaped like my master. So I don't lower my blade, I raise it, and I attack Wu Kai, which is either the smartest or the stupidest thing I've ever done, and I learn which one when Wu Kai smiles with far too many teeth and comes apart into black mist. It's her. Gao Meifin, the symbiont, the seed at the center of the Chen rot, come in person to finish the errand her pawns kept fumbling. And she is a nightmare to fight, because she doesn't so much have a body as a strong suggestion of one. I cut her in half, and the halves are smoke, and the smoke is her again. Every wound I open just seals. Then she stops playing with me, and lands a single open palm strike on my chest, and it's like being hit by the mountain itself. Organs shift, ribs go, and worse, her demonic power floods into the wound like ink into water, trying to rot me hollow from the inside. Here's the thing she doesn't know, the thing nobody who fights me knows until it's much too late. I don't get poisoned by demon power, I eat it. All Rivers turns her killing attack into a meal even as it's trying to end me, and I'm hurt, badly, but I am not going down, and being hurt is, say it with me now, the exact condition under which my tree does its finest work. Cornered, half-wrecked, fresh out of clever ideas, I do the only thing left to do. I pour everything I have, all the fierce tiger intent. I first broke open a lifetime ago on the floor of a slum apartment, into the hurricane blade at once, and something answers. A shape tears loose off the blade, huge and burning and alive. A tiger made of pure intent, a martial soul, the seed of a true intent, a thing most martial masters go their whole lives without ever managing to condense, and I've apparently grown one at the 8th rank, in a back alley, while bleeding. It roars, and the roar isn't sound, it's force, a shockwave of raw will that slams into Gao Meifin and does the one thing nothing else all night has managed. It hurts her. Genuinely hurts her. The formless demon convulses, and for the first time she looks not amused but afraid, and she rips herself apart into mist and flees. Somewhere across the city, in a Chen family bedroom, a beautiful woman doubles over and coughs up a mouthful of black blood. I mark the demon this time. Fair's fair. I'm still standing there with a tiger made of light fading off my blade when the real Wu Kai finds me, and I know it's the real one, because my skin doesn't crawl. He takes one look at the state of me, feeds me a black pill that puts my organs roughly back where organs are meant to live, and then goes very still because he can feel the demon power still swirling around inside me that I haven't finished digesting, and he does not yet know that finishing it is the entire point. I decide right then to stop lying to the one man who's only ever helped me. I tell him about Feng Li, about the deal, about Gao Meifan, about the demon wearing a great family like a dress. He's shocked in the specific way of a man learning the rot runs deeper than even he'd feared. And then he's angry on my behalf, because the way he reads it, Feng Li has been using me, dangling the division to aim a teenager at demons that could kill him. He forbids it flatly. Do not join the Demons Suppression Division, because swearing their oath would slam the door on Kunlun Mountain and the academies for good. And for the first time in my life, I tell my master no. Respectfully, gratefully, but no. Because he isn't wrong that Feng Li is using me, everyone's using me. I've made my peace with being useful, but the division is the only road I can see to Martial Master fast enough to matter, and Martial Master is the only thing that keeps my sister safe from the next Gao Meifan and the one after her. He studies me a long moment. This boy who just birthed a martial soul at the 8th rank in a ruin, and instead of arguing, he promises me Kunlun's walls will keep Gao Meifan off my back while I make up my mind. Then he goes home and quietly adds a line to his own long list. The Chen family, second of the 3 great houses, has a demon sitting at its heart, and Kunlun is going to have to burn it out. He doesn't mention that part to me. I find it out the way I find out everything about Wu Kai, 3 moves later, once it's already done. I spend 5 days grinding, and I come out the far side a different animal. The 5 Beasts skill hits major achievement, my last bone pills poured into it, and my cultivation climbs to 8th rank bone tempering late. My bones gone from flesh and marrow to something with a faint metallic ring when I flex. I'm 1 solid step from 7th now, from the last stretch of the whole martial artist road, and I can feel the martial master wall waiting past it like weather rolling in. I'm winning. I let myself feel, for about 5 days, like a man who's winning. Then Li Ruoyan calls, and her voice is the flat, careful calm of a person holding something terrible very, very still, and she says the words that turn all 5 days to ash. Your mother's been poisoned. Come home, now. Wu Kai himself walks me home, which ought to tell me something's badly wrong before I even arrive, because the master of a mountain is not generally free for escort duty. On the way, he tells me what he's done, and it's the coldest, cleverest thing I've yet watched him do. He took the intel about Gao Meifan, the demon curled up at the heart of the Chen family, and instead of moving on it himself, he quietly handed it to a demon hunter. Now the Chen family stands exposed as demon-riddled to exactly the kind of person who does not stop to ask permission before he burns a thing to the ground. And here's the part that makes me a little afraid of my own teacher. The fallout splashes onto Feng Li too, tangles him up, lands him in trouble with his own division. Wu Kai's quiet payback for Feng Li using me as a lure. 1 move, 2 great houses shaken, and 1 demon slayer punished, and Wu Kai's own hands stay spotless. He isn't gloating. He's just telling me, plainly, so I understand the kind of man I've tied my name to. The one upside I actually care about. Gao Meifan is suddenly far too busy trying to survive her own unraveling family to spare much effort hunting me. A small mercy. I'm about to need it spent somewhere else entirely. We take a shortcut, and the shortcut is the trap, and I should have seen it because the whole thing was simply too clean. 30, 40 spirit snake sect robes rise up out of the ground around us, and the real shape of it lands on me all at once. The poison in my mother was never the point. The poison was the hook. Poison the one person on this earth I will drop everything and everyone to reach, wait for me to come running, and take me on the road with my guard down and my heart 3 streets ahead of my body. And it's a good trap, an excellent trap, because it's built on the one thing about me that has never once been a weapon, that I will always every single time run for my family. Wu Kai is a 7th rank master, and for a moment that's enough, until 2 of the sect men demon transform and swallow blood explosion pills, burning their own lives to spike up to near 7th rank peak, and pin him where he stands. And that's when the real hand shows itself. The divine envoy. And while I'm reaping robes, doing fine, doing better than fine, he catches me with a thing I never see coming. 7 poison needles, a whole fan of them, buried in me before my senses can so much as flag the threat. Everything goes heavy. Everything goes dark around the edges. I feel myself fold, feel my knees find the ground, feel hands grab me and haul me up off it. The last thing I hear is Wu Kai's voice, cracking in a way I have never once heard it crack, roaring my name as he claws to reach me and can't. Then they carry me off into the dark, and my master is left standing in a road full of bodies, helpless for the first time since I've known him, swearing an oath over ground I'm no longer lying on. It looks from the outside like the worst thing that has ever happened to me. From the inside, I'm listening to every single word they say, and I'm counting. Here's what the divine envoy tells me while he thinks I'm unconscious, which is a mistake people keep right on making around me. My physique, the rare, freakish thing my whole life has been built on top of, makes me, in his words, a perfect cauldron. He's got a plan to refine something called a blood fiend puppet, and for that, he needs a body that can hold an obscene volume of blood tonic without simply dissolving, and mine is apparently the finest cookware he's turned up in years. So his people drop me into an actual cauldron, a huge iron vessel set over a magma fire, filled to the brim with concentrated blood tonic, seal the lid, and set me to cook for 3 days. 3 days to render me down into an ingredient. The 7 poison needles were supposed to keep me under for all 3. They kept me under for roughly 3 minutes because I don't get poisoned, I get lunch, and all rivers had digested the entire dose before I even settled to the bottom of the pot. So I wake up, sealed inside a cauldron of blood tonic over open magma, fully conscious, completely unpoisoned, and I've got a decision to make, and I decide to stay in the pot. I'm aware of how that sounds. Hear me out. They think I'm cooking. Which means, for the first time in this entire ordeal, nobody's watching me, nobody's guarding me, and I'm sitting in the deepest, most secret room of the sex lair with a lid over my head, and not one soul expecting anything from me but a nice, even simmer. It's the best infiltration I could never in 100 years have planned, and the blood tonic they've drowned me in to melt me down? To a man with all rivers run into the sea, it isn't poison. It's a bottomless bowl of the richest fuel I've ever been handed, and they are thoughtfully keeping it piping hot. So I play dead, and I eat the pot. 2 days, sealed in the dark, doing nothing whatsoever but devouring an ocean of blood tonic and pouring every drop of it into the 5 beasts' skill, and the skill climbs and climbs, through major achievement, up into perfection, and my bones cross the final grade, gold bone, 8th rank bone tempering peak. My strength multiplies several times over. I come this close to breaking the rank clean through, close enough to taste it. I just need a hair more proficiency than even a cauldron can hand me, and I stop right at the lip of the 7th, near invincible now against anything standing below it. The sect built themselves a pot to cook a boy down into a weapon. They've just spent 2 days and a lake of tonic hand-feeding the weapon instead. I work very hard not to laugh in the pot because dead ingredients don't laugh, and I'm not done being a dead ingredient just yet. On the 3rd day, the divine envoy comes to check his roast. He lifts the lid expecting an ingredient. What he gets is me, awake, whole, and several times stronger than the boy he dropped in, and before his face can finish rearranging itself from satisfaction into horror, I put a gold bone fist clean through his arm, his iron-hard 7th rank near-peak arm shattered in a single punch by the ingredient. I'd been so careful about looking dead that the very first hint he gets that I'm not is the sound his own bones make. He does the thing they all do at the end. He drops the mask, becomes a 10-meter python, and floods the chamber with a corrosive poison fog thick enough to melt stone off the walls, a killing move against anything that breathes. I walk through it. That's the whole fight, really, right there. He's a 7th peak demon, and by every rule of rank he ought to be able to handle an 8th like me, but his single best weapon is poison, and poison is the one thing in all the world that makes me stronger instead of dead. I stroll straight through his killing fog, eating it, closing the distance while it does nothing but feed me, and I watch the exact instant he understands that the pot didn't cook me, it seasoned me. Then I hit the 7-inch, the one spot on a serpent that not even a demon can armor over, with everything Goldbone gave me, and the divine envoy of the spirit snake sect, the smart hand behind a whole season of dead children, the thing that poisoned my mother purely to bait a trap, comes apart around my fist. He does not reform. Some wounds even a demon doesn't walk away from. The cavalry arrives about 90 seconds too late to rescue me, and precisely on time to see what I did to the man they came here to fight. Wu Kai, Feng Li, Li Ruoyan, a whole hammer of the Demon Suppression Division. They come down into the lair braced for a war and find it mostly over, the envoy dead, the cauldron gone cold, and me standing in the middle of the wreck looking like something you'd scrape off a boot. They mop up what's left of the sex cell in minutes. Feng Li, ever the professional, takes one look at a boy who walked out of a blood fiend cauldron alive and quietly readies himself to put me down in case I came out the far end as the puppet they'd meant to make. Fair. I'd suspect me too. Leroyan settles it with a talisman that reads me clean. Still human, still myself, just with genuinely unspeakable table manners. And Feng Li lets his breath out, and nobody but me ever knows how close that was. And then, when the fighting's done and I can finally ask the one question I've been carrying since Leroyan's phone call, the good news and the bad news arrive holding hands. My mother is alive. The poison's out of her. The demon that dosed her is a stain on a cauldron floor. That's the good news, and I hold on to it with both fists. The bad news is quieter, and so much worse. The poison did something before they cleared it out. It didn't only hurt her body, it wounded her soul, the heart of her, the part of a person no healing potion in the world can reach. She's stable, she's breathing, and she may simply never wake up. Not without one specific rare treasure, a soul-strengthening elixir, the kind of thing that can mend a damaged spirit. And there is exactly one within any reach at all, in the Demon Suppression Division's own treasury, priced at a mountain of contribution points so high that only their senior members are even allowed to ask. I stand in the ruins of the place that tried to cook me down into a weapon, gold bone strong, a big bad dead at my feet, and I have never in my life felt further from being able to protect the people I love. Every wall I've climbed, and my mother is going to sleep and maybe never wake because I couldn't get strong enough fast enough. There's a cure. It's behind a door marked members only, priced past everything I own. You already know what I decide, standing there in the ash. There's only one road to that elixir, and my master forbade me to walk it, and I'm going to walk it anyway. I'm joining the Demon Suppression Division. My mother is not going to sleep forever because a door had a price tag on it. A week, Feng Li tells me. The Demon Suppression Division holds its assessment in a week. Pass it, join, start banking contribution, and the soul elixir goes from impossible to merely very, very expensive. 1 week to prepare for the only test that has ever actually mattered to me. While I've got him talking, he fills in the rest of the map. Gao Meifan has vanished, her demon half left, half dead by the tiger that came off my blade, gone to ground somewhere to heal. And Python Mountain, my old hunting shallows, turns out to have a heart, and the heart is a snake demon, an old and terrible thing tied to the spirit snake sect, and to Gao Meifan both. The dread line I felt at the mountain's middle, the thing that noticed me the moment I noticed it. I ask why nobody simply killed it. And that's when Feng Li gives me the truth that lives under all the other truths. Humanity isn't winning. Humanity is holding. This entire world of great powers and divisions and hidden academies is one long wall braced against a tide of beasts and demons, and the powers won't move on a thing like the Python Mountain snake demon because the balance is that fragile. Poke the wrong nest and you don't get a victory, you get a flood. You want to break the rules, Li Royan says, watching me chew on that. Good instinct. Just get strong enough to survive breaking them first. Until then, you obey them, and you keep breathing. The hardest part of the week has nothing to do with any assessment. Xiaoli decides to leave. She's 8 years old, and she sits me down like she's 40, the one-eared rabbit in her lap, and tells me she's going with Teacher Shai to the Suspended Mirror Division, to Star City, a top 10 base city, 1,000 miles, and a whole world away from me. And before I can even open my mouth to say no, the way I said no in a doorway not so long ago, she explains why, and she pulls the ground right out from under my objection. She wants to get strong, not for herself, for us. She's worked out, the way sharp kids work out the exact things you're trying hardest to hide from them, that mom is sick in a way I can't fix by hitting it, that there's a cure and it costs more than we have, and that a girl with a soul like a beacon can earn her way toward that cure faster inside the Suspended Mirror Division than she ever could, hiding across the hall from her brother. She isn't being taken from me, she's volunteering to help save our mother, at 8 years old with a stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm. I want to forbid it so badly my jaw aches. I don't. Because she's right, and because the one thing worse than letting her go would be teaching her that being brave for her family is something her big brother won't allow her to do. So I kneel down to her level, the same as I did the day I swore I'd never give her away, and I tell her the promise has an amendment. I'm not giving her away, I'm letting her go win. And the day I come to Star City to bring her home, she had better be strong enough to make me proud, and I had better be strong enough to have earned it. She cries. I don't, until the car is gone. Li Ruyan, before she leaves with my sister, does one last quiet enormous thing. She settles my mother into a villa on Kongyun Mountain. Real doctors, real care, a soft and guarded place for a sleeping woman to wait, and she waves off my attempt to repay her like I'm trying to hand her bus fare. Then the two most important people I have left drive off toward a city I've never seen, and I go home to a villa that has everything in it except the two of them, and I get to work. Working is the only thing I have ever known how to do about grief. The villa comes with a 500 square meter training hall buried underneath it. Suspended mirror grade, the kind of room you could fight a small war in. I move into it, and I do more or less exactly that, against myself, for a week. I don't know yet what I'm training for, not really, but the division chief does. Feng Li's boss, a man I'll come to understand, runs the division the way a surgeon runs a knife, no wasted motion and no wasted feelings, takes the assessment and quietly turns it into a weapon. Instead of a test, it's a call. He's sending the candidates to hunt the surviving spirit snake sect remnants holed up in an old Taoist temple on Great Bear Mountain, and he's built the roster fully expecting that some of us won't come back down. That's the division. Not clean, not kind, just effective, and pointed at the right enemies, which is more than I can say for a single one of the great families. I decide I can work for that. I've never needed my shields to be nice. I've needed them to be strong. And then, 4 days into that hall, I finally kick down the door I've been leaning on for a month. The 5 Beast skill breaks its limit, and the entry that drops is the ace I've been missing all along, Berserk. For 30 minutes, I can call on the power of all 5 beasts at once and triple my combat strength, triple, with a bill attached at the end, a stretch of 1/10 weakness once it burns out. But 30 minutes of tripled everything is the kind of button that ends fights well before that bill ever comes due, and breaking that limit shoves my cultivation clean across the wall I've been staring at for so long. 7th rank, organ forging. Ice skin, jade bone, and my strength sinking down at last into my very heart. I test it once, in a room built to survive it. 519,000 kilograms behind a single punch, 97 strikes a second, movement pushing 390 meters a second. In plainer words, I can now pick up an airliner and throw it, and I'm faster than most things that fly. The slum kid who couldn't stop a thug's boots from touching his mother's table can, as of this afternoon, lift the plane that thug would try to flee the country on. The only number that refuses to move is the one I care about most. Down in the villa's best room, my mother sleeps on, her body mending, her spirit exactly as far away as the day they carried her in. Every rank I break, and she still doesn't wake. I keep the two facts side by side where I have to look at them both, because the day I forget which of them actually matters is the day I've lost the whole thread of why I'm doing any of this. Wu Kai nearly falls out of his chair when I turn up at Kunlun, already 7th rank, a disciple he handed a map to a single month ago, now standing at a summit most men take decades to reach, if they ever reach it at all. He recovers, because he's Wu Kai, and then he does a thing he plainly wasn't planning to do this soon. He takes me somewhere Kunlun does not show outsiders. A hidden shrine, deep in the mountain, and inside it, the memory of a man named Zhou Cheng, a Kunlun ancestor, a figure who once strode across the whole world, from an age when Kunlun walked 2 roads at once, the martial and the immortal. Most of that legacy is lost now. What survives, Wu Kai gives to me. The 5 vicious true fire organ refining strength, an ancestral art that does a thing I didn't know was even possible. It returns your organs from acquired back to innate, remakes them the way you were never born to be, and it's the first real step onto the road that ends, someday, impossibly far off, at Grandmaster. He warns me it carries karma. Taking it up might put me in the sights of a faction inside Kunlun itself. I take it anyway. I kowtow to a dead legend, and a sphere of blood carries his art into me in a rush of images. 5 monstrous beasts, a fire that refines the soul itself, and I come up gasping and changed. Only a fragment of the full art survived the centuries. The organ refining part is mine now. The blood change and meridian methods that were meant to come after it are lost. Another door, for another day, onto a list that now includes the actual roof of the world. I grind the new art until Feng Li calls. The assessment's on. Great Bear Mountain. Come earn your place. Most candidates will go in teams, for safety. I go alone, because I've got too many secrets to fight in front of witnesses, and because, if I'm honest with you, teams slow me down. I reach Great Bear Mountain at dawn, and the instant I cross the tree line, my senses hit that cold oil dread I know far too well by now. There's a demon here, a big one. The division sent a pack of hopefuls to cull some cultists, and somehow forgot to mention the thing waiting underneath the cultists. Typical. I check the blood shadow blade on my back, and I start up the mountain to go pass my test. The temple sits mid-mountain, and the temple has a guest I did not expect. Gao Meifan, alive. The demon I marked with a tiger and assumed I'd sent off somewhere quiet to die, she came here instead, to heal, and to do something a great deal worse than heal. From my perch on the cliff above, I piece it together just watching her move. She isn't a symbiont riding a host anymore. She's gone further than that, a full blood fusion, and she's found something in Great Bear Mountain worth wagering her whole existence on. There's a blood cave waking underneath this temple, and at the bottom of it, a blood spirit, and if she can devour that spirit, she doesn't merely heal, she breaks into the 6th rank. Martial Master. Maybe further. The thing I'm still grinding toward, she's about to swallow in a single gulp, and she knows the assessment is coming. She knows the division sent a fresh crop of hopefuls up here to be a whetstone. She's planning to use us, the candidates, as sacrifices to grease the whole leap along. The division came to cull the sect. The sect's been sitting here waiting to harvest the division. Everybody brought a knife to what everybody else assumed was their own private picnic. The other candidates arrive in a clump, 12 of them, and they split at once into the 2 kinds of people who ever show up to a thing like this. There's Duan Hai, loud and certain and already charging off toward glory, and there's Mei Ling, the one woman with the sense to hang back and read the room before it reads her. Duan Hai charges. The room reads him. It's a trap, of course. 31 sect robes and a 7th rank leader unfolding out of the shadows, and the candidates go from hunters to prey in about 4 seconds flat. The leader is the worst kind of cruel, the kind that talks while he works, telling the terrified survivors in detail exactly how the rest of their short day is going to go. I'm not close enough to save the first of them. I hate that more than I can tell you. I file it where I file every death I arrive too late to stop, in the part of me that's just a ledger with a pulse. Then I quit watching, and I start shooting. This is the thing I was born to do, or at least the thing a dead master's memories and a year of murder shaped me into. From the cliff, unseen, I open up. 3 arrows at the 7th rank leader first, to make him flinch and give ground and pull every eye toward the front. And then, while they're all looking the wrong way, 31 arrows in a single breath. I want you to understand what that actually looks like because it's the one genuinely beautiful thing I do. Meteor archery and rapid speed and a dead master's 40 years, all folding into one motion. I don't aim 31 times, I aim once, at the whole shape of the fight, and let the arrows find the 31 throats inside it. A falling rain of blood shadow shafts, each one already leaving the string before the last one lands. The robe on the left flank drops. The 2 dragging a candidate away drop. The one who's just realized to look up drops looking up. It isn't 31 shots, it's 1 shot with 31 endings, and the outer force that had the candidates dead to rights simply stops existing between one heartbeat and the next. Mailing's group brace to die, blink up at a cliff they can't see the top of, and rally around a reprieve they can't explain. The leader, one arm gone to my opening volley, all his men gone entirely, works out that he was never the predator here at all, and I put a shaft through his throat before he can finish rethinking his career. The outside of the trap is clear, which leaves the inside, which leaves her. She's already killing candidates by the time I come down off the cliff. Gao Maifan has dropped the woman shape altogether. She's a blood python now, 10 meters of red muscle and malice, and she's using the hopefuls as fuel, crushing them and feeding to top off whatever the temple's already given her. She's furious the instant she sees me, and she's put the pieces together, that I've been Feng Li's arrow this whole time, that the boy who marked her with a tiger and the boy up on the cliff are the same recurring problem. Good. I want her thinking about me. Every second she spends hating me is a second she isn't spending finishing her meal. Then the cavalry shows up in earnest. Feng Li comes over the ridge with a full Demon Slayer team at his back, led by an advanced guard named Manhua, and for one bright moment I think we've got her. We do not have her. She's drunk enough blood to be swinging Martial Master power now, 6th rank in all but name, and when Feng Li, 7th rank, my terrifying shopkeeper, closes in on her, she swats him aside like he's the junior on the team. That's how far she's already climbed. She scoops up the candidate corpses she's been hoarding, all that stored blood and soul, and instead of fighting us for them, she dives, straight down, into the temple floor, into the hall beneath it, and the whole temple sags and folds in on itself and drops into a pit that has no business existing. Because it isn't a pit. It's a mouth. The blood cave has opened, a demon grotto heaved up out of the deep earth, a sea of blood and worse, and she's gone down into it to finish exactly what she came here to do. Feng Li picks himself up, looks at the hole, looks at me, and doesn't waste his breath telling me not to. He knows me by now. I'm already gliding down into the dark. He and Manhua come right behind me. The blood cave is every bit as charming as it sounds, an underground sea of blood beneath a sky of raw stone, and floating in it, everywhere, blood crystals, a rare treasure that fuels the exact organ refining and blood change work I need for Martial Master, worth a fortune apiece, and there are hundreds of them. To most demon slayers, this place is a nightmare. To a man with all rivers, it's a pantry with a mood. But we're not here to shop. My Jadebone senses catch Gao Maifan's trail down the 4th passage, and we go after her, and the cave fights back. Blood demons, things that split clean in 2 every time you cut one, so that one becomes 2 becomes 4. Most fighters drown in that arithmetic. I've got Annihilating Wind, which doesn't so much cut as erase, and I take them in pairs, harvesting demon cores on the way, because old habits die hard and, frankly, free lunch. The deeper we push, the more crystals, the thicker the dread, thick enough that Feng Li mutters that this might be a mutated cave, a tier 3, the sort of place that eats 7th rank experts whole and never says sorry. We keep going anyway, she's close. And I did not come all this way to stand by while a demon swallows a shortcut to the precise power I need to wake my mother up. We find her at the bottom of the world, and for a second, even I stop moving. Gao Maifan is coiled around a sphere of soft light suspended over a lake of blood, the blood spirit, the heart of the entire cave, a mid-nirvana treasure with no defenses at all, and she's most of the way through swallowing it. I can see what it's doing to her, the power rising up her coils like floodwater up a wall. She's at Martial Master strength already. Finish that orb, and she climbs to 5th rank peak, and then there is no one in this cave, maybe no one in this whole city, left who can put her back down. We have seconds, maybe fewer, so I don't shoot her. I shoot the orb. 4 blood shadow arrows, faster than I've ever loosed anything, and while Feng Li and Fan Hua throw themselves at her coils to buy me the half second, to force her to choose between guarding her meal and guarding her life, the 4th arrow slips past all of it and takes the blood spirit dead center. The orb of light doesn't crack. It shatters, essence blowing out across the blood lake in a wave, the shortcut to godhood she staked her existence on gone in a spray of wasted light. The sound Gao Meifan makes then isn't a scream, it's the noise a plan makes when it dies. And then she goes truly berserk because there's nothing left to protect now and nothing left to lose, and every drop of that stolen power has just one job remaining: kill the boy who robbed her of forever. What follows is the hardest fight of my life to that point, and I don't get to win it clean. She hits like a landslide. The first exchange puts Fan Hua through a wall and nearly takes my head off the top of my neck, and for a few seconds it's all 3 of us just surviving her. Feng Li buying a heartbeat here, me stealing one back there. None of us able to hold her for longer than it takes her to shrug us off. She is stronger than any single one of us. That's the honest truth of it. And there's a stretch in the middle of that cave where I genuinely do not know if I walk back out, where the math says I lose, where a year of never losing might just end here, in a demon's flooded basement, 1 rank short. I've been 1 breath from dead before. This is the first time it's a whole long minute of breaths. And then I remember the one thing that's always been true about me. I do my best work right there, at the edge, with the answer running out. She's near 6th rank, and I'm 7th, and by the raw numbers that gap should be the end of me, but she spent everything reaching for a spirit she'll never taste now, and Feng Li and Fan Hua are martial masters in their own right, and the 3 of us hold her between us the way men wrestle a flood. I pour 9 annihilating wind arrows into her, and the formless demon shrugs most of them off, but one finds the 7-inch and seeds a rot even she can't seal. Then I'm out of arrows, so I do the thing I always do when the clever options run dry. I close with the blood shadow blade, 1,000,000 kilograms behind every stroke. I cut her in half, and the halves reach for each other, and I cut the 7-inch out of the mending mess before it can knit, and she regrows it, and I do it again and again, grinding her down past the speed at which she can rebuild. And at the end of it, the eldest wife of the Chen family chief, the demon at the seed of a great house's rot, the thing that wore a woman for years and ate her family one quiet disappearance at a time, the nightmare that healed a heart shot and smiled at me across a kilometer of dark. At the end of it, she's just a broken shape at my feet, out of blood to spend and out of shapes to wear. I take her head. And because I've learned the hard way that a demon isn't dead until it's beaten past putting itself back together, I set my foot down on what's left and hold it there until the very last of her goes still. No smile this time, no mist, no next. Gao Meifan is dead. The favor I owed Feng Li is paid in full, and I'd have done it for free. The blood lake drinks down what's left of the shattered blood spirit, and something in the water changes. The reek fades, the malevolence bleeds away, and what was a sea of blood a minute ago goes clear and pure and hums with clean spiritual energy. A spirit pool. The treasure Gao Meifan died reaching for didn't vanish when I shattered it. It just spread out, into the whole cave, into the water 3 exhausted men are now standing waist deep in. I look at Feng Li. Feng Li looks at me. Neither of us says the obvious thing out loud, which is that the demon just spent her life digging us a bath in the fountain of youth. We clean out the rest of the cave before we soak in our accidental miracle, because we are mostly professionals. Hundreds of blood crystals, close to 200 demon cores, and we split it the honest way. Half to me, since I did most of the murdering, 20% each to Feng Li and Fan Hua, 10 to the guards waiting up top. My share alone is worth north of $1 billion, and I don't plan to sell a single crystal, because to me it was never money, it's meals. The 3rd bud on my tree reddens just from being near it. Then we get in the pool, and the pool pays out like nothing I have ever felt. Feng Li and Fan Hua sink in to cultivate the normal, respectful way, taking what the spirit pool offers a man. I take what it offers, and then quite a lot more, because all rivers does not sip, it drinks. I pull something like 2/3 of the entire pool down into myself and pour it into the ancestral art, the 5 vicious true fire, and I ride it all the way to perfection. My organs turn from acquired to innate, remade exactly the way Zhou Cheng's legacy promised, and my cultivation crests to 7th rank organ forging peak, ice skin, jade bone, and now innate 5 organs, the whole set assembled. I'm standing at the very top of the 7th rank with the 6th, the martial master wall, finally close enough to lay a hand flat against. And here's the part that actually warms me through. My 2 friends break through as well. Feng Li and Fan Hua both cross into the 6th rank in that pool, both of them martial masters now. Blood exchange, the rank this entire city can't produce out in the open. They came down here to fight a demon, and they're climbing out as something close to gods. I had a hand in that. It's a good feeling, doing that for people I actually like, and I've had so few of those feelings lately that I make a deliberate note to keep this one. Feng Li, freshly minted Martial Master, makes the exact mistake every new Martial Master makes, which is to feel briefly untouchable. He turns to say something smug about the gap between his shiny new rank and my old one, and I blink flash clean across the cave, and I'm perched on his shoulder before he finishes the sentence. Because whatever I am, I'm faster than a Martial Master, and I always have been. He nearly falls in the pool. Manhua laughs so hard that he does. It's the first time I've laughed since my sister got in a car, and it feels like a muscle I'd forgotten I owned. We climb out, and Feng Li passes Mei Ling's group and me on his way up. Official as anything. Assessment survived, assessment passed. I'm in. Being in comes with a starter kit that would have reduced me to tears a year ago. A free technique, a free skill, a free tier 3 divine weapon. I take the Wind Shadow bow, obviously, plus access to the division's internal network, its forums, its task board, and its contribution shop, where every treasure I could never buy anywhere else sits behind a number I finally know how to earn. The elixir for my mother is behind that number, way up near the top. It needs a high-ranking guard, which means 10,000 contribution points and a promotion I don't have yet. Fine. There's a task board, and a task board is just a list of monsters with prices on their heads, and I have spent my entire life turning monsters into money. I walk up and take the 10 highest value tier 1 jobs all at once, somewhere around 20,000 contribution if I clear the lot, while the quartermaster stares at me like I've fundamentally misunderstood how many arms one man is issued. First job on the stack, a tier 3 flame demon lion, 1,000 kilometers out at Tianyun Mountain. Feng Li and Manhua, already scheming their own way toward Demon Slayer Captain, warn me a sect storm is gathering on the horizon. I tell them storms are just weather to a man with somewhere to be, and I go off to earn my mother's cure the only way the world has ever let me earn anything. One monster at a time. 1,000 kilometers is a long way on foot, so I build myself a way to cheat it. Out of the 5 vicious true fire, I improvise a lightness art, a Kunpeng stride, named for the myth bird that crosses the whole sky in a single wing beat, and it's fast, genuinely absurd, except that it burns inner strength the way a bonfire burns paper. So I do the thing I always do. I eat the problem. I run, I drain, and when I'm low, I drop a demon core down my throat mid-stride, and all rivers tops me right back off, so that I'm cultivating and traveling and refueling all at once, a self-licking engine crossing a continent. Somewhere along the way, I make myself a promise I fully intend to keep. One day, when I'm big enough, I'm coming back for Python Mountain and the snake demon coiled at its heart. Not today though. Today has lions. Tianyun Mountain drops me into Xiang Valley, and Xiang Valley is a volcanic crater full of fire, and the fire is full of lions. The job said around 30 flame demon lions. The job was optimistic by roughly an order of magnitude. There are 200 of them down there at the least, and at the center, curled on a throne of cooling lava, a tier 4 blazing demon lion king, martial master strength, a 6th rank in all but paperwork, a beast that would send a lesser demon slayer straight home to file a very apologetic report. I'm not a lesser demon slayer. I'm also not an idiot, so I don't go wading into 200 lions. I snipe one tier 3 off the edge of the pride, a clean little insult, and then I run, because I want the king to chase me well away from his court, somewhere I can deal with him one-on-one. The king chases. That's the good news. The bad news is that a tier 4 beast isn't an animal. It's a person with claws, human smart, and about the time I've lured him a satisfying distance off, he works out the game and wheels for home faster than I'd budgeted for. And when I double back to grab a few cores while he's mid-tantrum, the valley finally shows me the card it's been holding. The king is not the only tier 4. There are 5 of them, plus hundreds of lesser lions besides, and half of them have been lying low under the surface of the magma this entire time. This valley isn't a den. It's a hive, and it's abnormal. Wrong in the exact way the middle of Python Mountain was wrong, and I have gone and strolled into the heart of it to do a victory lap. Fire breath turns the ground around me to craters. I move. A tier 3 lion leaps, and I put an arrow through its open mouth, and I'm already gone before it lands. Another comes in low. I go over it. The kings roar behind me, closer. Fire from the left, so I go right, and there's a tier 4 waiting on the right because of course there is, and I burn 30 seconds and a lot of arrows just staying alive, just not being where the fire is. It's the best footwork of my life, and it isn't winning me anything. Every gap I open, 2 lions close it. Every one I drop, the magma coughs up another. And for the first time since the Blood Cave, I run the honest internal math and come up short. I cannot fight all of this and win, not even with Berserk, not with 30 minutes and a prayer. There are 5 6th rank beasts here and one of me. Up isn't an option. The sky's a curtain of embers and the walls are sheer glass. Sideways just finds more teeth. So I take the only direction left to me. I go down, into the magma. Diving into magma is, I want to stress, an insane thing to do, and I only get to survive it because I'm the specific brand of insane person I am. Ice skin and jade bone keep the heat from killing me outright, and all rivers does the rest. It treats a river of liquid fire not as death, but as the richest drink I've ever taken. Fire poison pouring into me as pure fuel while I sink. 1,000 meters down, where nothing has any business existing, I find the reason 200 lions built a hive on top of this valley. A crimson stone gate, ancient, radiating the exact power the whole pride's been feeding on, sealed behind a 100-meter barrier. The Lion King rages at the edge of it and can't follow. The barrier keeps beasts out, and I only get through because I bleed on it, and my blood, apparently, is a key. The gate lets me in. It does not let the king in behind me. For the first time all day, I'm alone with something instead of surrounded by it. Behind the gate is a pocket of the world that shouldn't exist. A small burning dimension, still and silent, and at the center of it, a corpse. A master. Long dead, his bones gone to gold and jade, seated like he picked the moment himself, and laid out alongside him two things that stop my breath. A fist-sized fire bead with a single drop of blood suspended inside it, the blood of a three-legged golden crow, a creature out of the very oldest myths. And a small bronze bell that sits in my palm and hums against the whole of my soul, the soul-suppressing, demon-subduing bell, a Tao artifact, a real one, a treasure so far above my rank that I can't so much as ring it yet. It won't fit in a pocket or a pack. It settles instead onto the second branch of the tree in my head, like it was always meant to hang there, and it waits for me to grow into it. And the bell hands me the gift the dead master left for whoever could reach him, the complete 5 vicious true fire strength. Not the fragment Zhou Qing's shrine held, all 9 levels of it, body to blood to bone to bridge, the entire road. Take my legacy, the silence says, in the way these things always say it, and take my karma along with it. And by now I'm collecting karma the way other people collect stamps. So what's one more dead giant's unfinished business between friends? This master ties back somehow to Kunlun's own lost lineage. That's a thread for a later day. Today, I just take the legacy. Then I eat the golden crow's blood, and I break. I've broken a lot of walls this year. Not one of them felt like this. The drop of crow blood and the complete art hit me together, and my whole body reorganizes itself around a new center, and I cross the 6th rank. Blood exchange. Martial master. The wall Li Royan warned me about. A lifetime and a poisoned mother ago. The one I'd have to climb before I could ever lay hands on the people who hurt my family. And I don't just reach it, I blow clean through the first blood exchange and straight into the second in one sitting, and my spirit tears loose of the mortal ranks altogether and steps into the transcendental. The panel in my head, which has tracked every clawed inch of this since a weed on a hillside, finally simplifies, all my scattered arts folding at last into a single clean fire. I sit with a dead master in a pocket of burning silence, and I am a martial master. The slum kid the Free Academy once advised to look into accounting. Somewhere out there is a treasury with an elixir in it, and a rank requirement I'm now most of the way to clearing, and a mother who's been waiting in her sleep for precisely this. When the fire bead leaves the pocket world with me, the little dimension's fire goes out, and so does the barrier, which means the instant I step back into the valley, all 200 enraged lions and their 5 tier 4 nobles are right there waiting, exactly where I left them, fully expecting the snack that dove into the magma to come crawling back out cooked. I come back a martial master instead. The blazing demon Lion King, 6th rank, king of a hive. I take his head with a single stroke, before the pride even registers that the shape which climbed out of the lava isn't the shape that went in. Then I spend 2 hours doing to that valley exactly what the valley intended to do to me. By the time it's over, I've got a backpack of cores running from tier 1 all the way up to tier 4, enough fuel to keep the furnace roaring for a good long while, 1 tier 3 job marked complete on my task board, and 9 still to go. I climb out of Qiang Valley in the evening light, a brand new martial master with a Tao artifact hanging in his head and his mother's cure one long stride closer, and for about a minute, walking, I let myself feel like this story might actually be one a person can win. I turn the Flamelion core into a very nervous quartermaster. A fresh martial master's aura tends to make 7th rank elders quietly check where the exits are, and I collect 1200 contribution points, and I look at the number I actually need for my mother's elixir, and I do not love the math. The soul strengthening medicine costs 120,000 contribution points, and it's gated behind advanced guard rank, which I don't have yet either. 1200 at a time, 10 tier 1 jobs on my board. That's a long slow road for a woman sleeping on a mountain. I need a bigger job. Feng Li and Manhua, bless their scheming martial master hearts, happen to have one. It's a special contract, 100,000 contribution, split 3 ways. Real money, the kind that turns my mother's cure from a someday into a this season. A group out of Star City, the 9 Tripods group, wants an escort into a tier 3 demon cave on Flying Ox Mountain to harvest a stalk of iceling grass, a high-grade spirit medicine worth about $1 billion. Dangerous, obviously. Tier 3 caves eat whole teams for practice, but dangerous is the entire job description, and 30-odd thousand contribution apiece is 30-odd thousand steps closer to a waking mother. I'm in before he finishes the pitch. I spend the days before it grinding the complete 5 vicious true fire up to its 4th level, learning the shape of the road ahead. Blood exchange climbs in stages, mercury to veil to smoke to furnace, and past all of that, someday, the 5th rank and the opening of the meridians. I trade for a high-grade archery art, meteor archery, and fold it into everything I already am. Then I go and meet the people I'm being paid to keep alive, and I dislike them on sight, which is usually a reliable instinct. The 9 Tripods crew is 17 strong, led by a cold, imperious director named Qin Shu, a scion of the Ye family, the sort of powerful person who treats hired help as furniture that happens to bleed. And she's brought her own specialist, a demon hunter named Mo Hantian. You should know how the division feels about demon hunters, because it colors everything that comes next. Demon slayers like me work under rules. Demon hunters work under results. They'll do anything, sell anyone, sacrifice anything, as long as the demon ends up dead and the treasure ends up in their hands. Mo Hantian is exactly that, and he takes one look at me, the division side jobber, and sneers, and I lean over to Feng Li and murmur that we can always just kill him in the cave if he tries anything. I mean it as half a joke. It turns out to be a forecast. We reach the lake, and the demon cave sits on an island in the middle of it, and it's already erupting. Somebody got in ahead of us and stirred the pot. There's no boat, and the crew stands at the shoreline arguing about how to cross while the island spits fire. So I do the thing that stuns them all silent. I step out onto the water, not on a raft, on the water. The Kunpeng stride turns the whole lake into a floor, and I cross dozens of miles of open water at a walk that leaves ripples and nothing else, while 17 of Star City's finest stand on the beach with their jaws somewhere around their knees. It's a genuinely petty flex, and I enjoy every step of it. A demon slayer isn't supposed to be able to do that. A martial master barely is, and I'm officially neither, as far as their paperwork knows. Behind me, I feel Mo Hantian's eyes change. From contempt to hunger, the specific hunger of a man who's just watched someone do the impossible and decided he'd rather own the trick than share the road with the man who has it. He wants what I have, and he's the kind who'll put me in the ground to take it. Good. Let him try it in the cave. It'll save me the trouble of lying later about how it happened. We land on the island, and we go down into a Tier 3 demon cave, 1,000 beasts, 300 demons, and a director who is very obviously hiding what we're all really here for. Business as usual, in other words. The cave is worse than advertised and better than I hoped, both for the same reason. It's absolutely stuffed with power. Rich heaven and earth energy, thick enough that my senses light right up while nobody else so much as notices. A Tier 3 cave is a Tier 3 cave because of what it grows, and this one has grown a war. There's already a rival outfit down here ahead of us, the Yunjing group under a man named Duan Long, and they're being ground to pace by roughly 3,000 vicious beasts and 300 demons swarming a pool. And in that pool, the ice-ling grass, 7 frost-white leaves, the billion yuan reason everybody came. Qinshu's plan is transparent. Let everyone else bleed on the horde while she reaches in and plucks the prize. And somewhere underneath all of it, my senses snag on something worse, something patient, hidden, ghost tier that nobody else has felt yet. I file it. It's going to matter. Then the fighting starts in earnest, and the crew learns exactly what the division sent them. I go through beasts like a farmer through wheat, and when a mid-netherworld demon rears up out of the horde, I take it apart in a single pass and pocket its core, and the whole 9 Tripods crew recalculates me on the spot. The side jobber they'd been tipping like a bad waiter is casually one-shotting the things their prize demon hunter needs 3 swings for. It buys me precisely no goodwill, because that isn't how these people are built. Duan Long's surviving Yunjing men actually try to herd the beast tide toward my group to use us as a firebreak, right up until a high netherworld blood demon comes through and starts draining 9 Tripods men down to husks, and all at once everyone remembers they need us. Qin Shu, watching her escort thin out, does the arithmetic and gets generous the way rich people get generous, which is to say only ever when they're losing. She offers to double the contract, 200,000 ear if the 3 of us hold the line, 70,000 to my name for 1 hard cave. That's most of the way to my mother's elixir in a single job. I'd have held that line for free and she knows it, but I take the double deal anyway, because you always take the money from someone who's very obviously about to try not to pay you. Duan Long is the one who forces the ugly part. He keeps pressing toward us in spite of every warning, trying to turn the horde into a wall between his rivals and the grass, and I get tired of it, so I spend an ace, berserk. 30 minutes, triple everything, and I cross the cave in a blink and cut Duan Long in half before he can blink back, except the halves burst into wood and paper. A substitute doll, a cultivator's escape trick, an expensive one, and the real Duan Long is suddenly 100 meters off and running, having spent a fortune purely to keep his skin. Clever. Cowardly. I hate that it worked. So I settle for the next best thing, which is the rest of his Yunjing crew, because they've seen too much and they'd sell every word of it, and in a tier 3 cave with 3,000 beasts standing by to take the blame, no one is ever going to know the difference. It's cold. I've gotten cold out here, earning a sleeping woman's cure, one cave at a time. I notice that about myself, and I don't stop because stopping is a thing you get to do once your mother's already awake. Then the thing I felt hiding finally wakes up, and it's the cave's true king. A crimson blood bat demon, high peak netherworld, a 6th rank monster with 3 blood changes folded under its wings. It comes off the ceiling like a falling building, and it kills a 9 tripods elder before anyone can even shout. One strike, the man's simply gone from the fight, and the whole cave tips over from hard into hopeless. And that is the exact moment the people I'm being paid to protect decide to show me who they really are. Qinshu doesn't hesitate for a heartbeat. She uses the chaos of a 6th rank demon's entrance to dart in, snatch the iceling grass out of the pool, all 7 leaves, the billion yuan prize, and bolt for the exit, escort and contract, and 200,000 contribution, all be damned. And Mohantian, her demon hunter, runs the very same play from the other side. He throws his net not to catch the bat demon for the good of the team, but to enrage it and point it, and then he slaps a wall of fire talismans across the cave mouth on his way out, sealing me, Feng Li, and Fanhua inside, with a furious 6th rank demon and 3,000 beasts to die. That's the demon hunter's entire philosophy in a single move. Let the division idiots tank the monster, wall them in with it, walk out with the grass and no witnesses left to argue. I did tell Feng Li we might have to kill Mohantian in this cave. I'd like it on the record that he started it. I try to kunpeng all 3 of us out over their heads, but the firewall is real cultivator work and the enraged bat demon is faster than a wall, and we're trapped. Fine, trapped is just a fight with the doors closed. Here's my problem, laid out clean. I'm in Berserk, which means I'm strong enough to maybe kill a 6th rank bat demon, but Berserk runs on a clock, and when it empties I drop to 1/10 of my strength in a cave full of things that would love to eat me. So this has to be fast, and fast against a demon that heals off 3 blood changes is not a thing I know how to do politely, so I do it impolitely. Feng Li and Fanhua, 2 fresh martial masters, hold the beast horde off my back, and I go at the bat demon with everything annihilating wind has in it, a blade that erases instead of cuts, 1,000,000 kilograms a stroke. It's fast, and it's ugly. The demon folds through the air like smoke with teeth, and I can't outmuscle a thing that doesn't hold still, so I make it choose. I cut a wing, and it screeches and reforms the wing. I cut it again, and it reforms again, and every reform costs it, and every stroke costs me a slice of that 30-minute clock I can feel ticking down behind my ribs. 20 minutes. It slams me into a wall, and I'm up before the dust is. 15. Fanhua screams a warning, and I duck a talon that would have taken my head. 10 minutes on the clock, and if it runs out with this thing still breathing, I drop to 1/10 of myself in a cave that wants me dead, and so does everyone I drag down here with me. So I stop trying to kill it clean, and when it finally leaves me an opening, it costs me my left arm to take it. Shattered, useless, a fair price. Because in the half-second the demon spends breaking that arm, I bury the blade in its chest and let all rivers off the leash, and I drink. Its blood fiend power, its 3 blood changes, the whole engine that makes it a king. I devour it from the inside, faster than it can heal, until there's nothing left to pulverize but the core, and then I pulverize that too. The crimson blood bat demon dies. Berserk still burning, so I spend the rest of it clearing the horde off my friends' backs, and then the clock hits 0, and I drop to 1/10 of myself and spend a genuinely undignified hour sitting against a rock, one-armed, regrowing what I can while the 5 vicious true fire and my jade bone knit me slowly back toward whole. Feng Li stands watch. Fanhua makes a joke about my arm that I'm too tired to punish him for. And when I can finally stand, I look at the pool the iceling grass grew out of. The pool a 6th rank demon chose to guard with its life. And I understand that the grass was never the real treasure here at all. The pool is hiding something. Something even Qinshu didn't know to steal. The pool has a false bottom, and under it, sunk into the stone, there's a cauldron. Not a cooking pot, an artifact, ancient, tilted, so heavy that even now, martial master strong, I can't shift it a hair. It must weigh 1,000,000 kilograms, and then some. And sealed inside it, glowing soft, maybe 100 drops of a liquid that makes my whole soul lean toward it, the way it once leaned toward a fruit on a dragon-shaped sapling, a year and a lifetime ago. I don't know what it is until Feng Li gets close enough to feel it, and then he says a name in a voice gone very quiet. Innate spirit marrow. A profound tier spirit medicine. 300,000 contribution points a single drop. So rare the division treasury doesn't even stock it. It nourishes the body. It nourishes the meridians. And Feng Li looks straight at me when he reaches this part, because he knows, he has always known exactly what I'm out here bleeding for. It nourishes the divine soul. The soul. The precise wound the poison left in my mother that no potion in the world could reach. The whole reason I joined a division and took 10 jobs at once and dove into magma and got walled up in a cave to die. I came out here to earn 120,000 contribution toward one elixir. I'm standing over 100 drops of something better than that elixir in a demon's pool left behind by a traitor who didn't even know it was here. The universe does not, as a rule, pay me back. I stand there a second and I let it. None of us can blood bond the marrow. It's too high tier to claim. It just sits there refusing to belong to anybody. So we do it the simple way and split it by hand. I give 20 drops to Feng Li and 20 to Fanhua. No argument entertained because they held a horde off my back while I killed a king, and they're the closest thing to friends I've managed to grow. And the look on each of their faces at 20 drops of a treasure they'd never see once in a whole career is a thing I get to keep. I take the rest, 79 drops, and the instant the last one leaves it, the cauldron decides it's finished with us. It tears a hole in space and simply departs, gone somewhere far above a tier 3 cave, an artifact so far past our reach that borrowing its marrow was always going to be the most we got. We loot the rest of the cave on principle, thousands of cores, and we walk out of a death trap richer than kings. But I don't feel rich until I'm standing in a quiet villa room on Kongyan Mountain that night, with my sleeping mother in front of me and a single drop of innate spirit marrow balanced on my fingertip. I've killed a great many things to get to this fingertip. I killed a bear the night it all started, and a leopard that nearly killed me first, and a demon that wore a great family like a dress, and a bat the size of a house that took my arm on the way down. Every one of them was, if I'm being honest with myself, this. Every rank, every wall, every cold thing I did in a cave and didn't let myself stop doing, all of it was only ever the long way around to one drop of medicine and a woman who's been asleep since a road outside the city. I give her the drop. I don't make a speech. She can't hear one, and I've never been any good at them anyway. I just tell her quietly, the same thing I once told an 8-year-old in a doorway, that I've got her, that I've always had her, that she can wake up now, because the part where I couldn't protect her is finished. The marrow sinks in. Her breathing changes, deepens, eases. Leroyan's doctors examine her and tell me what the light in her already told me. 3 days. Her soul is mending. In about 3 days, she wakes up. I sit by her bed the whole first night. One-armed, a martial master, a monster by some accountings, and a very tired brother by my own, and I do the math on 3 days over and over, like it might come out shorter if I check it enough times. It's the best 3 days I've ever had to wait through. I've waited through much worse, for much less. 3 days is a long time to sit still while 2 people who left you to die spend your money across town. Feng Li finds them for me, Mo Hantian and Qin Shu celebrating at a place called Yunyu Pavilion, and they've had the sheer nerve to short us on top of everything else, paying out the original 100,000 instead of the doubled 2, as if the people they walled in a cave to die wouldn't be around to complain about it. It's almost insulting how little they planned for me simply walking out. So I walk in. The guards at the door feel my aura and abruptly remember somewhere else they need to be. Mo Hantian, the demon hunter who netted a 6th rank demon at my back and sealed the exit behind him on his way out, gets to his feet with his mouth already open, and I don't let him finish whatever it was going to be. 2 strikes. The first one is for the arm I had to regrow. The second is for the elder he got killed to build his diversion. He doesn't get up, and I did tell Feng Li I do it in the cave and only missed by 1 building, so I'm calling that keeping my word. Qin Shu I don't kill, and not out of mercy. She's a scion of the Ye family, a Star City power, and killing her in the open buys a war I don't have time for with my mother 3 days from waking, so I do the thing she'll hate far more than dying. I make her pay 10 times the contract, around $1 million contribution, wrung out of her on the spot, family resources and all. And then, because money is never a lesson to people like her, I make her post a public confession on the Division network that it was she who wiped out the Yunjing crew in that cave. Every rival she has now knows exactly what she did and exactly how she got squeezed for it, and she can't breathe a word of the truth because the truth begins with abandoning a division escort to die, which is the one thing her career cannot survive. She signs it with murder in her eyes. I leave her alive to go on living inside it. That's the crueler option, and I've earned a little cruelty. She takes the loss the way her kind always does, quietly, and by hiring somebody else to undo it. Before I've even cleared the city, she's reached out to an assassin outfit called Wuyi Lane and put a price on my head, which I won't learn about for a while, and which goes onto the list, that ever-growing list of people who are going to regret me eventually. Fine, get in line. The line is long, and I've gotten patient. We turn in the contribution, a full 1,500,000 of it mine, which is, I note with some dark amusement, 4 times what my mother's treasury elixir would have cost, back when a treasury elixir was still the plan. I don't need the treasury anymore. I've got 79 drops of something better, and a mother already mending. That night, I refine 10 of those drops and cross my third blood change, Chi blood wolf smoke, my spirit stepping up into the intermediate transcendental, 69 drops still banked for later, and every hour, in the next room, my mother climbs a little further up out of the dark. I let myself do the thing I never let myself do, which is want. When she wakes, when I've got both feet properly back under me, I'm going to Star City. I'm going to find a little girl who probably isn't so little anymore, who left with a one-eared rabbit to go get strong enough to help save the woman now sleeping down the hall, and I'm going to put our whole family back together in a city none of us has ever seen. It's a good thing to want. I hold on to it with both hands, because in about 3 days, for the first time in my entire life, wanting something might actually turn out to be safe. Before I go back to work, I do one thing I've been meaning to do since a shrine deep in a mountain. I bring Wu Kai 3 bottles of blood-refining pills. Real ones. The good kind. The kind a disciple isn't supposed to be able to just hand his master across a table. And I don't turn it into a whole speech, but I mean it all the way down. He gave a slum kid a name and a road and an ancestor's fire, and he put himself between me and a demon that wore a great family, and I told him no once, and I'd tell him no again, but I'm not too proud to say thank you in the one language I'm actually fluent in, which is treasure. He takes the pills. He looks at me a beat too long, the way he always does. Neither of us says the sentimental thing out loud. We don't have to. Then it's back to the board, because I've got 9 jobs still on it, and a mother waking in days, and I want as many of them cleared as I can manage before she opens her eyes and asks me what I've been up to. Task 2 takes me to Zishan Town, a ruin 100 kilometers out, where a red-clad demon's been nesting. I run it down, and it does the sensible thing and flees straight to an underground altar it's been guarding, which is my first hint this is bigger than a bounty. There's a green-haired zombie down there, a walking corpse raised by somebody's dark art, and I put it back down. Then I let the red-clad demon think it can bargain, let it babble its way into revealing what the altar's really sitting on, and once it's told me, a Xuanyin pearl buried underneath, a profound high-grade spirit object worth 100 times a drop of innate marrow, I kill it too. It has the nerve to look betrayed about it. I tell it the thing I've told all of them. I swore an oath when I joined the division not to kill people. Demons were never covered. I eat the Xuanyin pearl the way I eat everything now, and it kicks me clean across my 4th blood change, Chi blood furnace, and shoves my spirit up into the high transcendental, my mind's reach spreading to 50 meters in every direction, close enough now that I can feel a lie before the person's finished telling it. Every drop, every core, every pearl, every pot they ever threw me in, fuel, the whole lot of it, all the way up. But the altar and the zombie leave a thread hanging, and I feel it snag as I go. Somebody raise that corpse. Somewhere, Star City, as it'll turn out, there's an old man with white hair and a deeply unpleasant hobby, a corpse raiser tied to the same masked, yaksha-faced hand that keeps surfacing behind the sect, and the instant I wreck his little altar, he feels it go, the way you feel a tooth go, and he lifts his head and starts wondering who's been breaking his things. I don't know he exists yet. He's already decided to get to know me. On to the list he goes. The list has a waiting room now. I cleared the other 8 jobs in 3 days flat. I won't walk you through every one of them. A story has to end somewhere, and honestly, by this point, watching me kill things is the least interesting part of it. What matters is the total. 8 demons, 8 bounties, a wall of contribution, and a quartermaster who has stopped making eye contact with me entirely. I'm not a fresh elementary guard anymore. I'm one good report short of Demon Slayer Captain, and I've been in the division for about a month. Somewhere on his mountain, Wu Kai is having another quiet little crisis, and somewhere in his shop, Feng Li is pretending he isn't proud. And then, on the 3rd day, exactly as my mother's 3 days run out, the war drum sounds. I get back to Fengal to find the whole city bracing. Wounded soldiers are coming in off the front by the truckload, and the word they carry is the kind that empties streets. An abyssal rift has erupted. I have to explain the rift because it reframes everything, including how small my entire story has secretly been this whole time. There are places where the world is worn thin, gates to cave worlds packed with beasts and demons, and the state keeps standing armies at them the way you'd keep a thumb pressed on a leak. Quiet, constant, secret. The real and unspoken reason a city like mine ever gets to have gardens and walls and children in clean school uniforms. One of those gates has just failed. A beast tide is pouring out of it, the front may collapse, and if it does, it comes for Fengal, and there is no wall standing between the outer city and that. The entire demon suppression division is about to be thrown at it. Feng Li, grim, gives me the truth beneath the truth, the same as he always does. It's the most dangerous thing I'll ever walk toward, and it's also the single greatest opportunity I'll ever be handed, because a rift bleeds spirit medicine into the world by the ton, and a man who can eat anything, walking into a flood of it, is a man about to become something the world doesn't have a rank for yet. That's tomorrow's war. It can wait exactly one more day, because my 3 days are up. I go home first. Whatever's coming through that rift, it can have my mother's son the day after. Today it gets no one, because today I'm just a boy taking the stairs, an elevator now, a good one, in a villa on a clean mountain, but I take them two at a time out of an old habit, the same habit that once carried me up 21 flights of a dying tower toward a thug in my living room. She's awake when I come through the door, sitting up, eyes open. Healthier than I have seen her in my entire life. The innate spirit marrow didn't only wake her, it rolled 20 hard years off her, so that the woman looking up at me looks less like the mother who wept against a slum wall and more like the one from a photograph I'm almost too young to remember. She sees me, and she says my name, Ah Ming, the exact way she said it the night all of this began, except there is no fear in it this time, none at all, and that's the thing that finally does it. That's the thing that puts the toughest man in Fengal City down on his knees beside a bed with his face in his mother's shoulder, shaking, while she pats my back and tells me it's all right, as though I'm the one who's been asleep. The first thing she asks, once she can talk, is where Xiao Li is. Of course it is. She's been asleep for the worst stretch of our family's life, and her first waking thought is a head count, one child accounted for and one to find. I tell her Xiao Li is safe, that she's strong now, that she's far away learning to be stronger, and that I'm going to bring her home. My mother searches my face the way mothers do, checking the sum of me against the boy she last saw, and whatever she finds there makes her cry again, not the frightened way, the other way, the way you cry when the thing you were braced to lose turns out to have made it through after all. Maybe I have been asleep too. Maybe you sleepwalk through the whole stretch of your life where you're only surviving, and you don't really wake up until the day the person you were surviving for wakes up in front of you. So here's where I'll leave it, since you asked me how it all went. A year ago, I was rated the very worst kind of nothing, and I stood in my own living room and could not stop a coward from putting his boots on my mother's table or his eyes on my little sister. Today, I'm a martial master with a dead god's fire in my chest. I've buried 2 great families and 3 demon lords and a cult that 8 children, and I pulled my mother back from a sleep that was supposed to last forever with my own 2 hands and a single drop of something I killed a king to reach. I got them out. That was the whole point. That was always only the whole point. But, and there's always a but, that's the thing about finally waking up. My sister is 1,000 miles away in a city I've never seen, getting strong for a family she left in order to save, and I made her a promise about a reunion that I now have to go become strong enough to keep. There's a rift bleeding monsters into the world tomorrow morning, and my name is on the roster. And somewhere in Star City, an old man with white hair I've never met is asking around about whoever broke his altar, and he is not the only one. There's a whole list now. A whole waiting room of people and things that have learned my name and already wish they hadn't had to. Let them wait. Let all of them wait. Tonight my mother is awake, my sister is alive, and for the first time since a meteor came down on the worst and best night of my life, there is no question standing in front of me whose answer I'm afraid of. Ask me again after the rift. I've got a feeling the answer is going to be worth the wait.